Welcome to episode 38 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. So this week we are talking about cabins by the lake or the UP. I don't know. Probably I feel like Scott's going to argue that they're not called cabins, they're called camps. And I'm going to call them cottages. And then Exploding Head's going to have material for their 150th show. You're welcome. I am one host of your podcasting team, Heather Powell, coming to you today from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada. And with me, as always, is
Mr. Smokeshow Crawford, coming to you from Swartz Creek, Michigan, in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the continent. God damn it, I screwed that up. But anyways, I am Mr.
He's
Smokeshow
on the continent
Crawford.
of North America, in the Milky Way galaxy, in this universe. He is vaxxed, waxed, and ready to be called daddy. And he is Mr. Smoke Show Crawford.
Hi, everybody. I fucked that one up royally today.
But then I covered for you.
You did.
And I brought you in like I always do. You know?
You saved my ass like always.
I just raise you up as a person.
You totally do.
Here we are, midway through July, getting closer and closer to, I guess, our break, because Scott is going on his trip, which we talked in great detail about before. Are you getting more excited, Scotty? It's coming up.
Oh yeah, I am looking forward to this. Nice escape from everything. Just be out and hopefully hearing some crazy banjos and hillbillies. Meet my wrong turn family.
That made me think of the group we like. Banjos. Shit. What's the name of the group that we like to listen to?
Dead South.
Dead South. Yeah. I that totally took me to Dead South when you said banjos. I could be like, the same as my father's daughter, but I don't even care who. Yeah, I can't even remember the lyrics anymore. But she needs some good loving anyway.
Yeah.
She's going faster, and I say. Anyway,
slow down.
We should make an 80s horror movie. Who went out when the rain was cold and the Ford? Like, oh my God. I swear to God, that folk music from fucking Blood Beach. Love it.
Oh, that was amazing.
Love it. So I, update. Scott is not the only one that is fully vaxxed. I am also fully vaxxed. Finally.
Yeah.
I got double Pfizer, not the good old Johnson & Johnson, but that's okay. I usually
want the Johnson & Johnson, if you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? High five. So that's very exciting. We are moving into stage 3 in Ontario next weekend, and that involves dancing at nightclubs, and strip clubs are open. So,
oh snap!
You probably wonder why I mentioned strip clubs. Let me tell you a little story about how I've been logicking out this whole stage thing. So we have 3 stages in the province of Ontario in terms of reopening, and then eventually there's going to be an announcement after stage 3 where there's no more restrictions or anything. So, adult entertainment, also known as strip clubs, is, I think the closest form you can get to touching strangers, right? Besides sex clubs and prostitution, but this is the one that, the government actually makes revenue money off of. So I've been following. So on our get back to, I guess, normal plan, each stage has whether strip clubs can open. And to me, that is the biggest depictor of what we'll be allowed to do, right? So if I'm allowed in theory to go to a strip club and get a lap dance from a male or female, then that's going to tell me what the rest of everything else is going to be allowed to do. So in stage 3 of the Opening Ontario plan, and I quote, "There is no limit on patrons that can attend a strip club, as long as 2 meters can be kept between patrons. And 3 meters must be maintained between performances, like the strippers, and the patrons." Now, I am sure that every strip club is going to break those fucking rules. But I saw that and I was like, okay, so if we can now have people take off their clothes and, lots of things happen at strip clubs anyway. We have a whole bunch of strip clubs out in a place called Niagara Falls. And, you can pay for various things to be done in the champagne room. Male and female, by the way.
Yeah.
So, and whoever you choose to be attracted to. So I'm like, there's no way they're going to maintain 3 feet of distance, like maybe out in the performance stage where inspectors could come in, or whatever the case may be. So when I saw that, I got excited because I was like, well, what are dance clubs going to be like? Because, I've been waiting to get myself up on that. So dance clubs can have up to 25% capacity on the dance floor, or it can have 250 people. So the club I go to, which is called Absence, which I think I've talked about on this show before, they have drag shows and stuff like that. They'll be able to open on the inside, and they're still going to do reservations for tables for drag shows and events and stuff, but you're able to have standing room only now too. So that's really exciting. There's going to be no limits anymore on the amount of people you can sit with at a table, as long as 2 meters can be maintained. Stores will not have limits as long as they can maintain 2 meters of space. We will still have the mask mandate in Ontario, which I'm fine with. I think it will go away by the fall once we exit stage 3. But personally, I don't give a fuck. Like, wearing a mask doesn't offend me or take away any of my rights, and doesn't incapabilize my ability to breathe. I have worked out with a mask on, and it can be done. So that's fine. If it's not comfortable for you, I get it, but you actually can still breathe. It's fine. Will I wear a mask still? Yeah, maybe. Like in certain crowded areas, absolutely I will. Yeah. In the wintertime when I'm going out places, absolutely I will. It avoided me getting sick this year, and I am totally down with not getting the fucking flu. So yeah, I don't know how you feel about masks and shit. Like, obviously the mask mandate's gone in Michigan.
Yeah, well, I'll say, well, you pretty much know me with the mask thoughts personally, but like, yeah, I've never had an issue with it. Like, my company where I worked didn't require us to wear masks throughout the whole pandemic, which I thought was dumb in the first place. But most of the people there already thought this whole COVID thing was a hoax. So, and wearing a mask, you're trying to wear to protect others. And well, I didn't feel like trying to protect others that didn't give a shit about me. So
especially since you're one of the few people that went and got the vaccine, right?
Yeah. So I didn't wear my mask there, but like, yeah, like anywhere that required me to wear a mask, I would always have no problem wearing it. When I took the train to Chicago to visit Liz, I wore it the whole time on the train, which was like a 5-hour drive or a 5-hour trip. It's like, I have no problem with that. And like, yeah, I still have my masks in my car for like, if I go to a place and I feel it's just way too crowded and I'm a bit uncomfortable, I'm going to throw that bitch back on. I have no problem with it at all.
Right. And I think it all depends. Obviously, if you are very anti-mask and you're like, no, Heather, I don't want my mask. Yeah, man, do you. Fuck, like, I'm going to shit. I'm just saying in the province of Ontario, I don't have a problem with us still having them as a mandate in specific areas. I'm going to Canada's Wonderland in August, and the mask mandate will be removed for if you're outdoors. But obviously, if you go into a food pavilion or something, or the washroom, they'll ask you to wear it. And honestly, like, sometimes those washrooms smell real bad. Because you get tons of people going through. Now they're cleaning them better now, but there's thousands and thousands of people that go through an amusement park, right? So, if the mask helps keep the smell down, I'm down with that too. I'm just happy that we're getting back to a sense of true normalcy, and people are really starting to get relaxed. I was at a pool party last night. I say a pool party. There was 7 of us, but as in your 30s, that counts as a party because a lot of people get together. And I was in the pool with the kids. I was the only adult that went into the pool with the kids because I'm cool. And we were outside drinking and toking and, having a great old time eating till about 1:30 in the morning. And it was just really nice. Everyone was very relaxed. Now, all of us there believe in the vaccine. All of us had at least our first or going to get our second shortly. So, like-minded people, right? Like, so everyone's, on the same page. And we didn't really talk about the pandemic for once. For once, we didn't talk about the pandemic, right? There was a little bit of talk about vaccines, but we all got the vaccine. So no one really had more to say about it. And that's nice. I really don't think, oh my goodness, Brandon's trying to call us. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's answer. Oh, hey, Brandon, what's up? Hi, what are you doing?
Being lonely.
Oh, yeah?
Hi, buddy.
What did you do today? Did you record with Exploding Heads?
I did.
Oh, yeah? How's Dave?
Dave was 40 minutes late.
What on earth, huh? You know what he was doing that wrench? We're actually recording right now, Scott and I. You want to join us?
Hi, Scotty.
Hi, buddy.
We can send you the Zoom link and you can jump on for a couple of minutes if you want.
I don't have the computer. My dad's just on it.
Oh, okay. Do you want us to call you later?
Yeah.
Okay. We miss you.
That beard. Look at that beard.
I know. Isn't he sexy? Describe for the people, Brandon, how sexy Scott is.
Scott's so sexy. Sexy like a chocolate strawberry.
Yeah, we'll have to talk later, Brandon. We'll give you a call when we're done. Are you going to be around?
I'm always around.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Always around for us. Or Scott, at least, not me.
High five.
High five,
High five, high five, high five, high five. See, proof, everyone, that Brandon Orlick is truly our friend. He actually showed up here. That was awesome.
He is part of our show.
I called. Look at that.
And you called us. Well, if your dad ends up getting off the computer and you want to jump on, we'll just send you the link.
Sounds good.
All right, let us know.
Will do.
Okay, talk to you a bit.
Have fun,
Bye.
guys.
Bye. Thanks. Bye, buddy.
That was awesome. I hope that comes up and we can leave it in the episode.
Oh, that'll be amazing. I think I could hear him clear as day through my headset, so I know it'll come on.
Okay, awesome. That was Brandon Orlick, everyone, from Exploding Heads, the horror movie podcast that we kind of, not gonna lie, but they're like our sister podcast. You know, like we're Dave's inspiration, actually. I think I'm personally Dave's inspiration. I'm sure Dave is like, Heather. Dave called and left a 10-minute voicemail for the Slumber Party Massacre yesterday. And I thought that was just so thoughtful of him. You know, and Dave was telling a story, and I won't go into details of it because you'll hear it on the next Slumber Party Massacre, but Dave is a fucking epic storyteller. He really is. Like, he'll start talking and you're like fucking bought in, and I'm picturing where he's talking about and what he's doing. And I think that's a real talent. Not everybody can do that.
Oh, absolutely. Like, he's great at telling stories.
Right? So, that was so cute that Brandon called us. Anyway, I guess we should like move on. What the fuck were we talking about beforehand?
Like your pool party at the vaccine.
Oh yeah. So anyway, it was a solid good night, and we made tons of food and ate our faces off, and they barbecued some sausages. Barbecued.
Cooked. See, that works. That's better. I can deal with that, because cookout sausages just doesn't sound right. Barbecuing sausages makes more sense. I'll allow that.
Right. Yeah. So it was good. What did you do last night, Scotty?
Oh, me and
I know what you did.
Yeah, I'll say. But yeah, me and Tim and a couple of my buddies, we got together to play some Magic out at our friend Joe and Becca's house, and it was 5 of us, and just like you, all of us were fully vaccinated, and we just spent about, I'd say, good 5-6 hours hanging out, ate some yum food, smoked a little bit, drank a little bit, played Magic for hours, then didn't get home till about 3:30 in the morning.
Did you call anyone daddy while you were there? Did anyone call you daddy while you were there?
Oh, everyone calls me daddy. You kidding me?
Oh my God.
I'm fully vaxxed, waxed, and ready to be called daddy. Come on.
I could never call a man that I was intimate with daddy. It would fucking creep me out. Like, I don't have daddy issues at all, and I'd be like, this is gross.
Well, it would concern me if someone called me daddy.
Yeah, like I'd just
be like, I don't like that.
Like, it's just not my thing, right? And if that's your thing and that's what you enjoy doing, hey, you know what? I shouldn't say daddy issues. Rock on. You do you. It's just not my jam.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's just,
no kink
it's just
shaming
not in my
here.
bones. No kink shit. We are all inclusive on the Friday Nightmare podcast.
We are all about the kinks.
As long as it's done with consenting adults, we are absolutely okay with it. So because like we're gonna have to call Brandon back later, or maybe he'll join us. Who knows? Like, he's probably seen the movies we're talking about, so he could, it'd be great to get him on for our Out of the Dark segment.
Oh, that would be fun. We should like message him about that.
You know what? Well, I'm introducing the first movie here. Have you seen this one?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start the intro. You send him a message just saying what our Out of the Dark segment is, and see if he can join us, and say it will probably be in like an hour and a half. Probably an hour and a half.
All right, I will send him a message, let him know.
And in the meantime, so just as everyone is aware, Scott is going away. We will be taking a short break for a couple of weeks. I'm not quite sure the time framing yet. Scott just has some requirements. Keep messaging Scott. That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to kill time, Scott. Don't worry. I got this, Scott. I was born to talk. So Scott will be away. He will be back. We will be doing a slasher episode with Nudie. That will be a Legion exclusive Patreon, Legion Patreon exclusive, and that will be released first on Legion, and then on the Legion Patreon, and then Scott will release it just before he leaves to go to the UP. So we might have a 2-week buffer where you don't hear from us. No worries, we will be back and down to pound later on in August. So this may be a little bit of a break for the Friday Nightmares podcast, but know that we love you all very much, and we will return soon. And I'll just be getting really drunk and stuff and uploading videos to Facebook. So I don't know. You can follow those if you want to be entertained. But in the meantime, we have managed to get through a number of 2021 watches, which is great. We got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to cover today, which is actually pretty good. I think it's the most that we've had to cover in a long time. Scott has been able to catch up with watching some 2021s, which is awesome. So I'm Yeah,
Yeah,
you
because I ended
finally
up.
had a chance to.
Yeah, because I had 5 days off during the 4th of July weekend, and I we had a lot of like extremely hot, humid days here. So like I basically just did stuff inside the house for the half the time, and I just played catch up and watched I think like 7 or 8 2021s throughout that 5 day weekend. So it
Yeah,
felt great to get caught up.
you just went down to pound, you were like, movies,
You
hold my
are
fucking
mine.
beer. I got this shit. So I watched this first 2021, Babysitter Must Die. I said the in the notes, but it's actually just Babysitter Must Die. And this looks like a very low budget film. When I first saw the cover, I'm like, oh, it looks like she's like, this chick wants to be Harlan Quinn. Is that what it is?
Oh, Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. But no, she's actually very like goody two shoes. So basically, it's about a young babysitter who's sitting for a very well-off family, and of course, a home invasion occurs. So very similar to the vein of Becky, but very good. Like, I really enjoyed this film. There's some great gore in it. There's some really good characters. You really get behind the main chick. If you liked You're Next, Becky, if those were or Hush, if those were your jams, you will dig this film. And I strongly recommend that you watch it. It has a 2.8 letterbox rating on right now on Letterbox. Scott has seen it too. Sorry, Scott. I forgot that you watched it. I'll let you talk about it. I'll just say briefly where you can find it, and Scott can give his thoughts. You can find it on Apple, YouTube, Google, Microsoft Store, and Hoopla. What did you think, Scott?
Going into this, I had no clue about anything about this movie except that you said it was pretty damn good, so I decided to throw it on. And in the genre description thing, it says it was a comedy first, thriller, then horror. I honestly did not find any comedy in this. Like I
think it was funny. I think it was like there was some funny things that she said here or there, but it wasn't like
it was
comedy.
Yeah, it wasn't a horror comedy. It just kind of like had some like lighthearted moments like throughout it, but like I thought it was pretty damn good. Like it's definitely a lower budget film compared to like Becky and all them, but like I think that once again, this is a film that does the budget well, uses their budget wisely, had great characters, especially the main girl. Like I really liked her because she's kind of just like that shy, quiet, goody two shoes that does like the whole Girl Scouts thing and is now a camp counselor for the Girl Scouts and all that stuff. Like, it was a very fun movie. Like all in all, like I don't know if I'm as high on it as you are.
Oh, you didn't like it as much as I did?
I don't think I did. Like, I'm not sure what you rated it, but
that's a poor decision on your part, Scott.
But I gave it a 7 out of 10. So, it's still good.
Okay, I'm probably at an 8.5.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that means that if you gave it a 7, I gave it an 8.5, it's watchable and rentable.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like you said, if you like those films like You're Next and the other ones that you mentioned, then yeah, I think people should just watch this one and give it a watch, because I think some may enjoy it more than others.
Absolutely. I'm very high on it. These films really do it for me. I really enjoy that. But yeah, so some people might be more like Scott and have bad taste and not think that it's as good as I do. Everyone's different, obviously, but it is entertaining, and I would recommend a rental. $3.99, $5.99. If you like Your Next and stuff like that, definitely a $5.99. If you're not too sold on the home invasion drama, then I would say maybe $2.99.
Yeah, I'd say $3.99 rental. I'd say it's pretty good for this.
Awesome. So the next one is an Unquiet Grave. So this is a 72-minute runtime. It's a very short film, and there's only a couple of actors in it. There's basically two people, and the synopsis is a man is grieving the death of his wife, and he works with his wife's twin sister to bring her back. And it's definitely a movie about grief and the consequences of death and how we feel when someone goes, and almost a little Pet Sematary-ish in the sense of bringing somebody back. It's on Shudder. So it's on Shudder Canada, Shudder United States, Shudder Amazon, Amazon Canada and the United States, and then AMC Plus. I think if you enjoy slow burns and a discussion of grief and what you would do to bring somebody back, then you'll enjoy this movie. It's a 72-minute runtime, as I said. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Like, you need to have at least, an hour. Like, this wouldn't have been a good short film. There's no way they could have made this as an effective short film.
Oh, okay.
So either it, so I think an hour and 12 minutes in length is appropriate for what they needed to do here. But I don't think it's going to be for everybody. But I do think it's an example of how you can make something creepy without spending a lot of money, which I do admire quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, this is one that I was curious on your thoughts, because I seen it on Shudder and I haven't pulled the trigger on watching this one yet.
It's interesting. I think it's quick, so you're not going to waste time with it. I don't know if this will be in anybody's top 10, but I think it does show that if you are going to make a movie and you don't have a lot of money, there's a way that you can make it and make it subtly creepy without, over the top gore or over the top effects. Like, I think this movie does that very, very well. And I respect it. I think the acting's really good and the writing's really good. I just think that because it doesn't have a lot of those other like razzle dazzle, and it's not as like overly production as something like The Witch or, other stuff like that, it's just not going to get the attention, or Saint Maud or something like that. But it's not bad. It's, worth a Shudder watch for sure.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out at some point then.
Now, someone's called you Josh. That's like crazy. I don't know why we call you Josh.
I'm just gonna add that to my intro now. I am now Smoke Show Josh.
Yeah, now your name's Josh. Well, maybe it's because it's your alter ego that you use on the hotline.
It's true. Smoke Show Josh here.
When you don't want people to know your real name. But I'll let you introduce this next one because I know you love the soundtrack so much so you downloaded it on Spotify.
Hey, all I gotta say is I did enjoy the soundtrack, but I'll get into it. Anyway, so the next movie
the song came out in 1995 and the movie is based in 1995. And my name is Scott Crawford, and that is not the right soundtrack for this movie.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, you're a shithead.
I am. Huge.
But yeah, the movie we are talking about is Fear Street 1994, which is the first of the trilogy that Netflix released. And boy, you can tell this is 1994. Like na 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 na, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Yeah, I was gonna say within the first 15 minutes of this movie, you get about 7 or 8 90s songs just slammed in your face. They make sure to let you know it's the 90s.
And then they're like, look at all the glow in the dark stuff. Look at the claws. Look at the clips. Look at what everyone's wearing. It's the 90s. Did you ever have glow in the dark stuff in your room? You should have, because it's the 90s.
Yeah. But all in all, though, if you were a fan of like the 90s slashers, I highly recommend this one. It is a lot of fun. A lot of people seem to really love it. I am in the point where it's like, it's good, it's entertaining, it's got its flaws, but it is still just a fun ride, and it's something, especially if you have Netflix, you are you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't check it out, especially if you're a fan of 90s slashers.
And glow in the dark stuff.
Yes.
And pagers.
90s.
And old school video games and fashion from the 90s
and AOL.
And AOL. I really thought this was a great take on the R.L. Stine novel. Yet again, R.L. Stine. So I read the Fear Street novels. They came out around the time that I was young enough that I dug that. I skipped over Goosebumps. Goosebumps kind of came when I was too old to really read. I was reading the Fear Street saga and other such things. And I'm really excited when they get into the lore of Sarah Fear. That's not a spoiler, okay? Like, if you haven't fucking know who Sarah Fear is, then I don't know what rock you've been living under if you've read Fear Street novels. And I think this film reflected the teenage book that it is. It is very much a teenage-focused novel. It is focused on teenage angst and drama. And I haven't read the novel in a really, really long time, so I'm sure they've taken extra creative liberties with it. But for a free watch on Netflix, it's what I thought it would be. Now, I was really excited for this. I think we talked about how I was super pumped.
Oh, yeah.
I brought this up back on one of the episodes. I was not disappointed, but I also didn't think this was as good of a movie as other people have said.
Yes.
Let me make this clear. I enjoy this film. It's well made. Lots of production value. I watched it with someone who's like a mediocre horror fan. And he was like, oh yeah, this is entertaining. I like this. Because sometimes I'll try to show him some other shit. He's like, Heather, this is fucking shit. I'm not watching this fucking piece of garbage. Go watch it with your horror nerds. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, this doesn't look like a good movie. It looks like the budget has like 25 cents to it. Like, I understand, right? You know, that's something Scott and I can sit through. And we've sat through some doozies before this. I watched together.
Oh man, have we? Oh boy, oh boy.
Or separately that we've watched for the episode that I found and recommended. I'll never forget that prom fucking shitty movie that I made us watch this year. Oh my God.
Oh, what? You mean the movie that reminded us that the mother died?
Did you know the mother died? Anyway, I think this film for what it is good. Do I think it's top 10 list for me? Probably not. And I'm looking forward to the other ones too. I think they're great. I just think there's other movies out there that are better personally, but I don't think this is a bad film. And I think, you know, you would be at a disservice if you didn't watch it and you had Netflix.
Yeah, because I was going to say, pretty much if you love Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and all that stuff, this definitely does the homage to all of those films. And
absolutely,
it's done well. It's filmed well.
It reminded me also of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes.
Similar kind of theme to that.
Yeah, very, very similar. But yeah, like it's done well. It's acted well. The effects are really good. The practical effects are damn good as well. It's gory.
Yeah.
It's rated R, which is awesome. But yeah, it just there's some plot issues I had that keep it from being like anything above an 8.
But it's also based off a novel that was written, and they've used creative liberties with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not criticizing your critiques. I think it's fair, but it was never meant to be like I don't know. I walked into this going, I hope it's entertaining enough. I think some people praising it is great, but I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, there's other movies that have definitely been better. Some that we have on this list. One in particular, I think is just fucking. And yes, it's Canadian, Xander, but I didn't know that going into it. I found out at the end, Xander, that it was Canadian and filmed in my city. So, but we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I'm glad we both think that people should watch it. I'll be watching the second one tonight.
Yep, same here.
So we'll talk about all of them. I think one day we'll do like a adaptation from book series to movie, and we'll do stuff like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the Fear Street movies.
Oh yeah.
Right.
There's so many we could cover. So that could be like a multiple episode one.
Exactly. Like we could do one just on Fear Street. We could, because eventually they're going to do a sequel to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah.
So, and I love that. I actually think that's one of the better films of adaptations. I thought, and I could watch that again and again. And I look forward to the day that we cover that. There's certain movies that we've kind of kept from covering yet. And I look forward to when we cover them.
Yeah.
I enjoy them so much.
I think we have a lot of fun plans in the future with some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I let you talk about the next one. I haven't seen it, so.
All right. So the next one, I went back to the theater because why the hell not? It was the 5-day vacation that I had during the 4th of July. And what better way to celebrate the American independence than by watching the latest Purge film, The Forever Purge. And this one was... I've seen all the other Purge films now because I watched them all for a first-time watches last year just because I had never seen them all. And they're all, decent. They are very on the nose with their political messages and their social commentaries. And if you're fine with that, then, and you liked the other ones to an extent or whatnot, you will like this one. It is more of the Purge. This one just covers more about immigration and racism and pretty much people not liking foreigners being in our country, as they would put it. And
were the foreigners Canadian?
Yes. No, though.
What's her name? Heather Powell?
Though I will say, Canada was definitely one of the heroes in the movie, in a way.
We are always the hero. Is that where people flee to?
Yep. That in Mexico.
Oh man, I fucking flee to Mexico. Fuck Canada.
Yep, they this one focused on Mexico because they were all in Texas where the characters were. But
yeah, I would flee there too. Well, now does this take place after election year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. This is the whole founding fathers, like I forget what the name of them are, but pretty much the people that enjoy the Purge decide to come together and say, you know what, screw this. Every day is Purge Day.
But I thought, okay, I gotta watch the movie because I'm all like, no, at the end of election year. I'm already thinking about what happened, right?
But yeah, I recommend checking this one out. It's very fun. Especially like I said, if you like the other Purge films, It's more of the same. This one I feel has a little more action to it. I feel the story's a little better. It's obviously still a little on the nose, but it's still very entertaining and easy to watch. And unfortunately, once again, just like most Purge films, feels like this could happen.
You're like, isn't this just what's happening today? Isn't this the news?
Pretty damn much.
I don't mind the Purge films, but I'll be honest, I do find them a little, which is something says something for me. I find them really low fruit political shit. Like, I feel like it's like, this is what will happen if people don't control their anger and we have hate in our society. Like, I feel like I don't understand how more people who are like, I wish stuff wasn't in my face all the time about like the Me Too movement and shit don't hate the Purge films. Like, I feel like the Purge films are the most in your face, like, political horror films you could get to nowadays, modern. Yeah. Right?
Oh yeah, it's slapping you in the face.
Jordan Peele shit, like Jordan Peele stuff, like you got to kind of put on your thinking cap and be like, oh, okay, he's being subtle about this. The Purge isn't being subtle at all. They're like, poor people need to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? They're like, poor people suck. They suck our economy. Poverty is their fault, and they need to die. That is like every single Purge film.
And pretty much like racists and white supremacists and crazy conservative gun nuts are the ones that would join in on the Purge, is basically what it always says.
You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, do you think it's worth going to the theater to see?
Yeah, if you can get to the theater to see it and you are a fan of the other ones, I would definitely recommend this. It's fun. Honestly, I like this one better than most of the other Purge films. This may be my favorite one of the franchise.
Oh, wow. What did you think of the one that came out that was after election year, but it was supposed to be a prequel?
Oh, the prequel, I actually enjoyed quite a bit. Once again, that one felt really a little too close to home with like the way it focused on the poor country, or not poor country, but the poor areas, and basically just like the racism that was put in on that one too. Like, I liked it. I thought it kind of gave a whole another layer to the new founding fathers thing with the Purge.
So we should do a Purge series one day and like talk about the political aspects of it. Not do movie review, just talk about the themes and stuff and how it carries through. We could probably do a full episode just on the Purge films.
Oh, we absolutely could.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks for taking one for the team. That is available at theaters. They haven't released it on VOD up here yet, but that's probably because theaters are opening next week. So we'll be able to see it in theaters up here in Ontario. I don't know if I'll go see it in theaters, I'll be honest. Like, I like the Purge movies, but they're not like, weirdly enough, they're not my main jam, which is surprising.
Right. Well, this is the same thing for me, but I think it's just more, I want to go support the theater, and I just like to support horror in theater as much as I can.
Look at me. My name's Scott. I'm just a supporter.
And plus, I mean, I can't pass up a giant tub of yummy popcorn.
In your face. Nom, 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 nom,
it's like the size of my damn head. My head's huge.
It is. You live in Michigan.
Big head.
Big head. Like mine too, my bowling ball head. That's why we have a podcast together. Scott and I have unusually large size heads.
That's right. To hold our giant egos.
Yeah, that's right. Well, oh, my giant ego. So the next one, Sandra Kane is Canadian. It's called Vicious Fun. And it's a 2020 film that was released in 2021. It's 103-minute runtime. And I'll be honest, when I first saw this film, I was like, oh, how's this going to be? And it's great. Holy fuck, is it funny?
This movie is fantastic.
So basically, it's about a guy who stumbles upon a support group for killers. And all killers have a similar theme to movies that we know and love, and then the shenanigans go on from there. And this kid's a horror blog writer, so he's like, basically, if one of us stumbled into this situation, take any horror podcaster from any horror podcast that we know, stumbling into this situation is basically what would happen.
Oh, it's so true.
And it's really fucking funny. Like, I was laughing out loud throughout this movie. It's 103 minutes, and I wish it was longer. Like, it could have kept going. I was loving every minute of it. And it gets to a certain scene where there's a drive-in. And I'm like, oh, man, that drive-in looks familiar. Oh. And then it got to the end, and I'm like, oh, tell Ontario, Canada. I should look up where it was filmed. And I'm like, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. No wonder I recognize the drive-in. I've fucking been there before. So it was really good. It's on Shudder. It's on Shudder. Let's see here. Shudder Canada, Shudder United States, Shudder Amazon channel in both Canada and United States, and AMC Plus. Scotty, what did you think?
I freaking love this movie. This is horror comedy done right, and
Absolutely.
it's got a total nod to like because I think it takes place in the 80s if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think it does, or like late 80s.
Yeah, no, actually, no, it does take. It is in the future because I think it's a blogger or whatever. Like, so I think it's modern times, but it
But
has
it's
just
weird
like an
because he
80s feel
uses a
to it.
payphone.
That is true. Well, I mean, in Canada, third world country. So, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Yeah, I'm gonna purge you.
But yeah,
yeah.
I
Fuck
just
you,
found
Canada,
this.
third world country. You're spending too much time with Brandon Orley.
I was just gonna say that was for Brandon.
Right?
But no, like I really did love this freaking movie. It has like an amazing synth score to it. That's why I was feeling it was an 80s film. But yeah, the characters are all fantastic, and the villains in this are definitely homages to a lot of other like killers from other horror franchises. And the main one is just cracks me the fuck up the way he just like constantly just changes outfits and he's like a chameleon.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, so much fun, so much gore, had some very creepy moments. Like once again, this is a horror comedy that is done perfect
By Canada.
by Canada. Sorry, Xander.
As always.
But this is in my top 10.
Oh yeah, it will be in my top 10 at the end of the year. Like my top 10 is gonna be like horror comedies and like a sprinkle of other shit.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think, and really to be honest, out of all the mainstream releases, I think maybe only Candyman will make my top 10 if it is as good as I think it will be.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's not that I didn't think Saint Maud was a good movie, and it's not that I don't think one of the movies we're going to talk about very shortly was a good movie. Or what else has been released to the theaters? There's been a couple.
Yeah, Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, you keep considering that horror, and I don't.
Well, it's because the horror nerds. It's because the horror nerds are big kaiju fans, so like it fits in that genre.
That's fine. I fucking don't care if you consider them the same. That's cool. I'm trying to think of what else has been released to the theaters that I've thought has been really good. Oh, Spiral. I thought Spiral was really good. I don't know if it'll be the top 10 for me, but I definitely enjoyed it. Like it would probably be my top 20. But yeah, like I've even the theater watches, and it's nothing against theater watches. I just think they're, when you're watching a little bit more variety of films, and also when you have things like Shudder and Netflix who are really up in their game with movies that they're releasing, I just think you begin to have more variety.
Oh yeah, like especially because like we are fans of some of the lower budget independent stuff, and like a lot of the stuff that's in my top 10 right now is indie films.
Yeah, I have a couple Shudder, and I have a couple indie, or just ones that aren't indie, like they have money behind them. Like I would say Don't Tell a Soul, I still really enjoyed that film, and that had money behind it. Like that was a fucking good film. So like, and Censor had money behind it, so did Sound of Violence. Even though indie-ish, still like had money, had somewhat of a budget. So it'll be interesting to see how this all floats out at the end, because while I have stuff listed in my top 10 right now, doesn't necessarily reflect what my top 10 will look like at the end of the year. It just shows the movies in my bottom 35 now that I recommend that people watch. Any of the ones I have under 35, I think are worth watching for sure.
Yeah. Oh, same. Like I'm feeling pretty confident with what I have watched so far this year.
Right. So, and next one is you.
Oh,
and
right.
I said where you could find Vicious Fun. It's a Shudder exclusive. So if you got Shudder, check it out.
All right. So this one's a bit hard to explain, so I'm just going to read the synopsis real quick. But this is Gaia. On a surveillance mission in a primordial forest, a park ranger encounters two survivalists following a post-apocalyptic lifestyle. The boy and his philosophical father seem to have their own religion and a mysterious relationship to nature. Many suspicious aspects to their existence, but when the cabin is attacked by strange post-human beings one night, she learns there is a greater threat in the emergent wilderness. This one is so freaking well done.
Really?
Yes, I loved this.
Where did you find it?
This one I found on our good friend's Plex, but it is available on iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, and Amazon.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, this movie, it's artistic without being artsy fartsy.
So artistic done well.
Yes. And it's basically about like Gaia, Mother Nature, and like the types of things that can that almost feel like could happen in a way. Like it's supernatural, but not. Like the creatures in this are very unnerving, and the makeup effects for them are incredible. If there are fans of the video game Last of Us, you will see a very similar resemblance of these creatures. Like, they are very similar. That's what this movie reminded me of, Last of Us, with the creatures.
Cool.
But like, it's very well done, amazing acting, very good story, very creepy, and just such a beautiful film. Like, this is a high recommend. Like,
So obviously you recommend that people rent it.
yes, pay any price to rent this. Like,
Okay.
if this sounds like something you like, your type of jam, it is worth.
Is it Lovecraft?
No.
Are you
Nope,
sure?
I would say this is just more like, I wouldn't even know what to call this really, but it's just good, very good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for bringing it to the table. It's one I haven't seen or heard of, so it's hard to do nowadays.
I know, I'm trying to bring my A game back again, and show you up. No.
Well, you always show me up, Scott. Always. You're just better all around. In so many ways.
Please.
So many ways. The next one is A Quiet Place 2. Now, okay. I like A Quiet Place. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Now, that is not taking away from the incredible acting, filming, concept. Great solid film, much like Saint Maud, in the sense of, like, I respect it. It's just not necessarily my jam.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Scott?
Pretty much the same way, though. I think I like it a little more than you, but I think that might be because I seen Quiet Place in the theater, and the theater experience was extremely incredible, because everyone in the theater, I have never seen so fucking quiet in my life. Like, people were afraid to even eat popcorn because it was just like they were afraid to make any noise.
Well, yeah, of course, what you see what happens if you make a noise, right?
Right. My biggest issue is the whole fucking plot of, oh, we lost a child in the first movie. Let's have a baby in the middle of this horrible apocalypse of creatures that hunt by like any slight sound, and that just bothers the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I know that plot point really bothers you. That actually doesn't bother me at all. I just assume because they're grieving so much for the loss they had that they would attempt another child.
I mean, it makes sense, but at the same
Right.
time, it's just like, really? This is just going to put all of you at risk. Babies are not quiet.
No, and I think that's reflected very much in this film. I do love the acting. I love the filming. I like a little bit more of the backstory that we get in this film. I enjoy that piece quite a bit. I found the first hour boring.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was fine. Okay, but I was like, I get it. And I will say the music is good, but it started to pick up for me when the action started to pick up. When I felt like there was more involvement of how things have progressed as a society, I found it more interesting.
Okay.
Right. Yet again, excellent film. Well done. I've just realized these two films are not my top films, but that doesn't take away from the impact that they have, what they represent, how well they're presented. It's just not my jam.
Yeah,
It's just not my thing. But that doesn't mean that they're not good. They're absolutely good. Similar how I felt about Midsommar.
Right.
Not my jam. Excellent film. Right. So.
Yeah, for me, I would say I like the sequel better than the first film because there is more action. You do get a lot more character development, I feel. And the backstory of when everything kind of happens, like, I kind of like that. Like, it was, I think, all around a lot more interesting, because in the first film, it just felt like you only seen one of the creatures. In this one, you see a lot of the creatures. Like,
you do. And I think this one set the stage that clearly there'll be a third.
Yeah.
Obviously this is going to be a series. The first one was so successful that they were able to build on it, and I think that's great. I think the character development, you're right. Like, I think the characters are really good. Like, you care about what happens to everybody.
Yeah. And
that's incredible with not a lot of dialogue, just facial expressions for the most part, right? There is some dialogue in this, but it's minor. Great film, just not my necessary jam, but I recommend that if you liked the first one, theater experience for this one. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was like, if you like the first one, you're going to love this one, is how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that should be playing in Canadian theaters soon. I did watch a copy from a good friend's Plex, which is how I was able to see it. But it should be available in Cineplex theaters this weekend coming up when we open up to stage 3. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, please go ahead and check it out. And next one you've seen, I have not.
All right. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is False Positive, which is a Hulu exclusive. And this one, I'm trying to find the actress's name. It's Alana Glazer. She was in the female comedy Broad City on Comedy Central. But she is the co-writer and actress for this film, and she's the main actress. She was like, I'd say almost full-term pregnancy when she was acting in this film. So her being pregnant in this film is really her. But after months of trying and failing to get pregnant, Lucy and Adrian finally find their dream fertility doctor in the illustrious Dr. Hindle, who is also played by Mr. Pierce Brosnan. But after becoming pregnant with a healthy baby girl, Lucy begins to notice something sinister through Hindle's gleaming charm, and she sets out to uncover the unsettling truth about him and her own birth story. And I thought this was just a well done film. I think for any female viewers, it will probably have even more of an effect on them than it did me, because Alana Glazer has come out saying that she wrote this story and it was basically her fears of when she was pregnant and a lot of like just things that she was thinking and a lot of what she had to hear from others and stuff like that. So it's very woman focused, like on like the experience of pregnancy, which I thought was a very fascinating take on this. And I thought she did a freaking fantastic job because she is just the loudmouth, funny one on Broad City, and she brings just this like very like calm, like just like very just like not over the top performance. And I thought she did amazing. Pierce Brosnan, of course, always fantastic. But yeah, I recommend this to anybody that is curious about the story. I thought it was just very well done, and I want to get your opinion on this one when you watch it, because I would like to get a woman's perspective on this.
Well, I will eventually watch it for sure by the end of this year. So thanks for bringing it, Scotty. Where's it available?
This one is exclusive to Hulu, so I'm not sure for Canada where it would be.
So I'll have to watch it off of a good friend's Plex.
Yeah, and that's where it's. I've already seen it's on there. So
or Crave.
Oh yeah, Crave.
Yeah. So the final film that we're going to talk about is Werewolves Within. So this is a 2021 film. It is a 97-minute runtime. Scott watched this one first and then recommended it. Oh, it's really fucking funny.
It's great.
This is like Fargo on like that was comedy.
Yep.
Like real comedy. It's really good. It's a werewolf movie. And you don't see the werewolf till later on in the film, but it's great. This movie is like a political movie, but it's like if you like Saturday Night Live skits, you'll like this film. This seemed very Saturday Night Live skitsy to me, and I like Saturday Night Live skits. This isn't necessarily pushing a specific political message or anything like that, but they just make fun of everything. Like they just make fun of all groups, and it's really comical.
Yes. Oh, like the part that got me right off the bat was when I seen Ubisoft Studios. I'm going, what? Ubisoft? They're a video game developer. What is going on here? And I looked into it, and I can finally say, I have found a movie based off of a video game that is actually good, because that's what this is. This is based off of a VR game that Ubisoft made called Werewolves Within, which was about a bunch of people that would just get together and chat through virtual reality, but one of you is playing a werewolf and no one knows. And it's just the way trying to figure out how to do it. So they actually turned this into a movie with a lot of recognizable faces.
Like, huge.
So many like recognizable characters.
And so funny. Like the line delivery there were so many jokes that I was fucking dying. Like, this is the year of horror comedy, man. I've said it once. I'll say it again. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. This is the year of horror comedy. And if you don't like horror comedies, you are missing out, because there's some funny shit out there.
Oh, absolutely. And this one, I like how you compare it to SNL. I compare it to Clue, because
Clue's a good example too.
Who done it horror comedy ish. Like, and it's got that like whole mystery to it, and it just reminded me of Clue. And man, so much fun. Like, I just loved every character in this, and it just had me laughing from beginning to end. It's so silly, but it's just so highly entertaining. Like, I really, really, really recommend this movie to anybody.
I think, Dave C., I know you're selective what you watch. I think you will regret not watching this film. I think you will find it funny. I hope you do. I just think the comedy in it is hilarious. Like, it's silly, but it's funny. Yeah, I really dug it. So it's available on iTunes, Vudu, Google, YouTube, Amazon, and it's worth whatever rental you pay.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it's absolutely worth it. And that concludes our 2021 watches. We've done a pretty good job, so we've left you with some stuff to watch. List wise, Scott, where are you at with your list? How many have you watched?
Let me back out of this real quick. I am at 108. We'll probably be at 109 tonight when I watch the Fear Street movie.
So I'm at 122. I'll be at 123 tonight when I watch the Fear Street movie. I think I'll probably hit over 200 by the time we get to our awards. Maybe 220, 225 at the most, which I think is fine. I think we'll have more than enough. I'll have more than enough to choose from that. I think once you hit 200 films, you really do have an idea of what's good and what's not, and you learn each year, right, as you do this. And there's a lot of gems that I honestly would miss out if I didn't watch stuff. But I also do watch trailers. But we're gonna get to talking about that.
Oh yeah, I will be surprised if I hit 200 this year. I'm gonna try for it because that'll just, like I said, give me a lot of options for when we do our awards. I'll probably do a lot more cramming in a lot of these movies that I may have missed on, like by the last month before the year end or whatever. But we'll see where I'm at by then.
Yeah, totally. So we'll get into our older films, and I'll bring up mine, I guess, first. Well, you actually have an older film this time.
I do.
I'm shocked. The Prowler, for me, 1981. Have you seen The Prowler?
A very long time ago. I don't remember a whole lot from it.
So for our 80s shows, I was trying to watch some slashers that I haven't seen, and The Prowler was one that I haven't seen. I think it's Christian from Exploding Heads that says this one is boring, and I kind of agree with him.
I was like,
it's okay.
I do remember it being boring. It just had some decent kills.
It has some decent kills, and the guy looks like an angry GI Joe, and I totally I get it. I get his reasoning. I get that the whole dance is going on, and like the killing that occurs from there. It's interesting. Like, it is an interesting enough film. I'm glad I watched it finally, but definitely not my favorite. It has a 3.0 rating on Letterboxd. I think that's fair. I do think it's, yet again, well done, good character development, but it was okay. Honestly, it's not going to make my top 5 slashers. So I'm just glad I watched it. So I could at least say that I've seen it.
Right. Yeah, I like, that's probably one I won't revisit because I know I just wasn't a big fan. And yeah, if you felt it was still boring, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother. Honestly, like, if you watched it once, I don't think you're going to watch it again. I'd be like, oh man, changed my mind. Right.
Right. All right. So you want me to jump into mine?
No, I want to skip over it and move to what we've been listening to, because I don't believe you actually watched an older film.
Oh, okay. So This one is thanks to my good old buddy / roommate, Tim. He found a trailer and he was just like, oh my God, this looks so ridiculous. We need to watch it. And that is Lumberjack Man from 2015. As the staff of Good Friends Church Camp prepares for spring break filled with fun under the sun, a demon logger rises from his sap boiler to wreak vengeance and
where?
From
his sap boiler?
Sap boiler.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got that right.
To wreak his vengeance and feast on flapjacks soaked in the blood of his victims. This movie is so ridiculous, but oh my God, is it fucking funny.
Is it so bad that it's good?
Yes, I would say that. Like, it is just, it's got lots of TNA. That's just like,
oh man, that's all Tim wants. No wonder he picked it.
But like, it's very silly. Like, the lumberjack is hauling around this giant wagon with these massive flapjacks that have like fake butter on top. And when he kills the victim, he pulls the wagon underneath the victim and the blood goes on them and soaks the flapjacks. It's so stupid, but it's
God.
But it's like actually like well made, like well shot. Everyone definitely knows what type of movie they're in and they just fucking roll with it, which makes it even more entertaining. But if you're in the mood for just something silly, turn your brain off and just have fun, I would recommend this because it is so just ridiculous. Like, I laugh so much during this thing.
That's crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna watch this, but I'm impressed that you watched it. So everyone out there, if you're interested, Lumberjack Man 2015. Where did you find this gem, Scott? So everybody knows where they can locate it.
I believe this was
Is this a Tubi classic or a YouTube classic?
I think this might have been on Amazon Prime.
This was not on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so it's Amazon, iTunes, Vudu, Google, and then Amazon again. So I'm assuming one is Prime and one is to rent.
So if you have Prime, you could watch this bad boy.
Yep, I'm looking it up right now real quick.
See, you were supposed to come prepared. What if the people want to watch Lumberjack Man?
Oh, actually, and I'm sorry. No, it is not on Prime. It is to rent or buy, and it is one of the 8 films to die for when those used to be in theaters back in the day.
So do you recommend people renting this?
For the price that they have,
do they pay you to watch it?
Yeah, it's $3.99. So I would say, if this sounds like you want to watch something ridiculous, go for it. But I won't recommend it to everybody because this one is, you definitely got to have a specific sense of humor and just know what you're getting into.
I love that you brought this to the table today. I absolutely love it. That's amazing. Lumberjack Man. Sounds like a movie that we're going to make with Christian next year. So,
well, I mean, we could use a sap boiler and get that Canadian maple syrup going.
Yes, exactly. Get the sap going, right? So that was our older movies. Thank you, everyone, for listening to that. We have a 1981 classic and some garbage that Scott found. 2015.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Which is what Dan Chase says all the time.
I know.
Which you can find on Anchor. You're welcome. So what we've been listening to. So Scott and I are going to spice this up a little bit and bring something a little different to this section. So Scotty, what do you got?
All right. So as people probably heard me talking about before, I've been running a bit low on podcasts to talk about.
Too busy talking to hot babes online.
That's right. But no, like I've pretty much run the gamut of all the podcasts that I listen to. We've talked about them all. So I wanted to bring something a bit different. So what I am listening to right now is an audiobook. Since I cannot watch.
Scott can't read.
Yeah. No, it's because I can't watch movies at work anymore. I decided this is a good way of kind of watching a movie in its own way because audiobooks definitely can portray a picture in your head. So what I brought to the table today is called Monster Hunter International. I am on the 3rd book of this series right now, which is Monster Hunter Alpha. And this is the one I'm going to talk about. But it's basically about a independent group of people that are specialized in hunting monsters because monsters are real. And they are basically working alongside the government, but also not, because the government also has their own monster control bureau that tries to hide monster attacks and kills anybody that tries to blab that monsters are real. But they are basically bounty hunters that get paid huge lump sums of money for killing any types of monsters. And it could be werewolves, vampires, zombies,
former presidents of the United States.
Yeah, chupacabras, cults. It is all sorts of like monsters they bring into this, and this brings in the elder gods, or also known as the old ones, which are Lovecraftian horrors.
Oh my god, you already lost me.
But this one, I would say, the 3rd book is about Earl Harbinger, who is the leader of the monster hunters, and he goes to the UP of Michigan. And while he is there, he is hunting down an old KGB agent who is also a werewolf to try and stop him. And apparently lots of werewolves show up and start attacking in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in the middle of winter. And
in the galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy, in the... Sorry.
But I just thought this was like a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story. Characters are amazing because it's written by Larry Correia. He does a fantastic job as a author, but I just thought this was unique because not many, I don't think there's any horror films or even horror books that take place in the Upper Peninsula. And that is a great place because everybody is so isolated. But I just, if this sounds like anything like you would be interested in, I highly recommend this series. I freaking love it. I've listened to it multiple times throughout, like when I worked 3rd shift. There are 8 books in the series now and a couple side books that have short stories in them as well. But it's Monster Hunter International is the 1st book. And then, going forward from there. And these are very graphic. very adult themed books.
Like how graphic?
Oh, let's see. People getting their guts ripped open and like played with, and heads ripped off, and people
Oh,
ripping
like
their
not
face.
sexy time graphic.
Not in this one.
Oh, that's too bad.
But like, yeah, there a lot of the characters in this are great. But yeah, there's even like elves and orcs and every fantasy creature you've heard of is pretty much real in this world.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing that, Scott. It's nice that we bring different things to the table and that you brought the audiobook today.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different. I probably rambled on more than I should have, but you know what?
Oh, never. You don't talk nearly as much as you should.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, you always have valuable things to say, unlike me. So anyway, I'm gonna bring a channel called Stalk and Talk YouTube on YouTube, and it's with Barry Kowalski. So Barry has become, I consider, a friend of mine. Barry is a podcaster that is located in the UK, and he has a YouTube channel called Stalk and Talk. And he reached out to me to kind of just connect, because I guess he saw that I was a podcaster and whatever. And he listened to Scott and I's anthology episode, which was very nice. Thank you, Barry. He's a big anthology fan. And he records reviews of trailers. He records top 5 lists. He works with another gentleman named Joseph, who I shared Joseph's short film Grandmother that he made back in 2018 to our page, which I think is actually very good for a low budget film. For a 6-minute low budget film, I actually think Joseph did a fucking phenomenal job. So please take a look at that if you haven't had a chance to. And Barry's really cool. Barry is very similar to Scott and I. He very much just states what his opinion is, and he understands that everyone has different opinions. But recently, he did a top 5, or not top 5. He did an overrated, underrated slasher. Now I know people fucking hate that term, overrated, underrated. I personally don't care if people use it. And Scotty, this is a man after your own heart, because he said Prom Night was overrated.
Oh, snap.
Right. And he also said Friday the 13th Part 4 was overrated. But he had some good arguments, honestly. And it wasn't that he was saying that it was a bad film. And he even said Sleepaway Camp was overrated. But here's the reason that he gave. If the ending didn't have what it has, it would have just been like any other slasher. And you know what? He's a fucking 110% right. If the ending of Sleepaway Camp, how can you argue against that? How is it any different than The Burning? How is it any different than anything else? If that ending wasn't what it was, would Sleepaway Camp be acknowledged like it is today?
I mean, it probably would not, but at the same time, I think it's the characters in this one that make it stand out, at least to me.
I disagree 100%. I think Barry is actually right on this, because the characters are only that because of what happens at the end.
Not really. I mean,
how not?
Well, I mean, we got her brother, Angela's brother, in this one that I just like. He just stands out to me as like a young kid that's just fiery. Like I don't know. I just like the characters in this one. Like
I think you're looking at it with bias, because I think if we're real honest, and the ending didn't have what it did, and I'm not trying to like argue with you, I just think Barry made a valid point. I think Sleepaway Camp is a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an excellent slasher. You know, I'm not trying to be like Sleepaway Camp sucks, and if it wasn't for the ending, it would suck. But if it wasn't for the ending, I don't think it would be talked about as much as it is.
True. I guess I can see that. But I think that's also like why it is talked about, is because of the ending, which makes it stand out. I mean, it's kind of a like, you can't take that ending out of there. Like,
well, no. And you know, you have that super awkward conversation with the aunt at the beginning, which plays into the ending. You know, absolutely. The construction of it, I think. And yet again, I know it's funny. We're like talking about Barry's channel. Now we're getting into a debate about Sleepaway Camp. But I think that for him to take that stance, I think takes balls, to be honest with you, because horror community is so fucking loyal to certain films that if you even say, I don't really like it, people freak out. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, and he didn't say he didn't like it. Let's make this clear. He said that it's a good movie, but if the ending wasn't what it was, it probably wouldn't have the legacy that it does today. And I agree with him. I think it would have been recognized as a slasher for sure. But I don't think it would have been recognized as the slasher and the impact that it had. Especially with what they showed at the time, especially with the concept of what they were presenting at the time. Like that was huge.
Oh yeah.
You know, we watch Fear Street, and the main protagonist is a lesbian. And that would have been shocking in 1981. Now it's like, oh yeah, people are gay, they're straight, they're pansexual. Like no one, like some people still think that's a big deal. Some people are like, this is really great because it's empowering. And other people are like, okay, great. So, you know, to use transgendered in the early 80s as a conclusion to a film, I gotta agree with him. I think people were so shocked by that ending. I know I was when I first watched it. First time I watched Sleepaway Camp, I was like, oh man, it's like I didn't know anything about it. I went in dry. Okay, I had no idea what was gonna happen. And I remember watching it, and then I remember the ending, and I was like, what? And it went up for me. Up to that point, I'm like, oh, this is a fun little slasher. You know, it's probably one of the other little kids, and he's, you know, getting revenge. And okay, you know, I've seen this before, been there, done that. And the good kills, like I like the hair curling kill with the like, you know, picking up with the JJ. And I enjoyed like the arrow in the throat. Like there was stuff that was really, really great that I was like, fuck, this is awesome. This is a great movie. But when that ending hit, it changed everything for me, to the point where I was talking about the ending in line at Dairy Queen that night with one of my girlfriends.
I remember you telling me that.
I would have been talking about if it was just Ricky. Oh, and then it was like this guy and he was like getting revenge. Like, welcome to every other slasher.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? That I think that, you know, that's some validity to say that not that Sleepaway Camp's overrated, but that it probably wouldn't be talked about as much if it didn't have that ending.
It probably, well, depends on that ending. Like if it's just the reveal of Angela, who she is, like, but if it was, let's just say Angela was not whatever the character's name was.
Transgender.
Yeah, transgender.
Yeah, we'll say transgender, right?
But if they just revealed that Angela was the killer, I think that still would have been extremely shocking. Just
because it was a female?
Just because it was a young, quiet female. I think at that time, I think it would have been extremely shocking.
But do you think it would have had the impact that it has?
It probably wouldn't have had the impact, no. But that's why this film does have the impact, because that ending is in the film.
So what you're arguing is it doesn't matter because the impact is there because that is the ending. So it's not overrated. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a great conversation. See how good Barry's YouTube channel is? It got Scott and I arguing with each other. So anyway, that's an example of the kind of stuff that you'll listen to on Barry's YouTube channel. He also reviews trailers. Like him and Joseph went on for like an hour about Halloween Kills. So if you're really interested in Halloween Kills coming up and you want to hear what the two of them have to say, Scott and I are going to watch it from now on moving forward so we can argue about things, because like we don't debate ever.
No.
That was like our third debate in our history of like Friday Nightmares. So maybe we need to do that a little bit more.
Boy, oh boy, I'm not great at debating. You
you
much
did
better at so.
You did fine though. I got what you were trying to argue, but it'd be an interesting conversation, right? Like I think when we look back at films and the impacts that they have, you're right. Like, well, if the ending had been different, and I guess that you're like, but that is the ending, so it does have an impact. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. But I think that it's like, I think it's valid to say that there's other films that may be looked over because, and we see it all the time with our 2021 watches. Like we see it all the time. People just watch theatrical releases and what's on Shudder and Netflix and low hanging fruit, and they go, "This year sucked for movies," because they have never ever watched an international film, or they're never ever gone and been like, "Oh man, maybe I'll give this other movie a shot." Like if you watch less than 30 movies a year, I don't respect your opinion when you tell me it's a shitty year or for that specific genre. I really don't, because you haven't watched enough to tell me that. Like to me, that's just watching theatrical releases and Shudder and then calling it a day. And you would miss out on things like, well, there's a lot of stuff that's been released on Shudder that I watched last year, like It Cuts Deep and some other stuff too. But like, I just feel like you would miss out on other things.
Yeah, you could say like, you know, this year for me personally was not as good as last year, but I mean, I can't say it sucked.
But how can you say that after watching 30 films? Honestly,
I guess it really depends on what the 30 films are. For honestly, then why do we bother watching so many films that we do? Because we have fun with it.
No, like I disagree. I think if you watch 30 horror films and that's all you watch over the year, and let's say you watch theatrical releases and everything that's released on Shudder, and you go, "This was a bad year for horror," you're completely like disregarding everything for, you know, low budget or any other international films that could have come out that are excellent. Like look at Martyrs, for example, that came out in 2008. Now I know I'm dating that. Probably that should have been the best film of the year. If I was ranking films in 2008, I watched fucking Martyrs, I would have been like, yep, number one. Like it won't matter what else comes, you know. But if you're not watching international films, especially back in 2008, and you're like, oh, it was a shitty year for horror, like, you know what I'm saying?
True.
Like I just feel like sometimes, and I don't know. And of course, like, it all depends on what kind of genre fan or how interested in something that you are. And if someone only wants to watch 30 films and that's all they want to do, and they just want to watch theatrical releases and stuff, I think that's fine. But to then say it's a shitty year when there's 500 films that's been released that year and you haven't even watched 2% of them, I don't think that's a valid argument. I don't think it's backed up by anything. It's not backed up by facts.
Yeah, that is fair.
Right? So anyway, look what you did, Barry. Anyway,
Thanks, Barry.
Barry's YouTube channel is available. Please check it out. As you can see, it's very interesting stance that he takes on it. You may agree with him, you may not. You may agree with Scott, you may agree with me. You may think we're both full of shit. But I would definitely recommend that you check it out. So we'll take a brief break and we'll come back and we'll talk about our Cabin by the Lake episodes. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Cha-cha.
Hello?
Hello, who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
I don't know.
Oh, I think you've got the wrong number.
Do I?
I'm gonna hang up.
Wait, don't hang up. What's that noise?
Popcorn?
You're making popcorn.
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn when I listen to podcasts.
I'm about to listen to a podcast.
Oh, really? Which one?
Probably the podcast on Haunted Hill.
Is that the one with the two guys with the beards?
Yeah, Dan and Gav.
Dan and Gav. Yeah, that podcast was scary. I liked it.
Most episodes, they look at 2 different horror movies. Each episode, they look at a world of the strange, where they look at weird things from around the world. Sometimes they even do special episodes where they look at different genres or directors' discographies and talk about them.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Maybe.
So where can I find the podcast on Haunted Hill?
Or you could go to legionpodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, or just go into iTunes and search for the podcast on Haunted Hill. So, are you going to ask me out?
Welcome back. As Scotty will be experiencing soon, we're going to be talking a little bit about going to the cabin by the lake. Now, you're on a lake at is it camp or cabin? What do they call it?
It's a cabin.
It's a cabin. It's by the lake, isn't it?
Yeah, we are actually nestled right between 2 lakes. We have Beaver Lake and Bass
Yeah,
Lake.
you do.
Yeah. We have
Scotty's going to get some tail.
yeah. We have Beaver Lake and Bass Lake, and I think it's Beaver Lake is the one that our cabin has the dock on it, so where our speedboat is and all that. And then the other lake is, I'd say, about 500 feet, 600 feet away from the cabin, and it's a fishing lake. But
Awesome.
yeah, like we are literally just like a little peninsula in between these 2 lakes.
That's adorable. Oh.
It's
Well,
nice.
so cabins, camps, cottages. I have a couple of friends that have cottages and I've gone up to them. One of my favorite cottage stories, there's 2. My buddy's parents used to have a cottage up in Perry Sound, and they were right on the lake. You had to actually take a boat to get to their cottage because it was on an island. And we used to rent heavyweights and eat junk food we would go up there Friday to like Monday, and we would rent heavyweights at the video store.
Nice.
And buy a whole bunch of fatty food and eat it and watch heavyweights. That was like what me and my buddy Andrew used to do all the time. And
that's awesome.
Anyone that came to the cottage, it was like that was the tradition. We would go swimming off the dock, and it was like murky water, but murky water's never bothered me. Like I'll swim in murky water. And one time we went sailing, and he was being a dick, and he flipped the sailboat, but he got it stuck in the sand. And his parents were out with the other boat, so we had to connect the motorboat and pull the sailboat out with the sand. Like it was like literally stuck down to pull it out. And then I had another buddy who we went to Tobermory and stayed at his family cottage. And at this point, his parents were there, but they were like, they didn't really give a fuck what we did. So my girlfriends and there was 3 girls, and we were all 17. And the guys were all of age, and we were fucking lit the entire time we were there. Like it was just drink. And here's a really cute story. So his next door neighbor was a family from Michigan.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And my buddy who I went up there with, I had a crush on, and he kind of had a crush on me, and we had kind of like talked about dating, and we kind of like made out one night when everybody went to bed, and he wanted to like have sex. And I was like, you know what? I don't think we should, because my girlfriend was there and she really liked him. And I didn't want to make her upset over the trip, right? Because I think we were there like Thursday to Monday. We were there for a little bit of a trek, and this was probably like Friday night. So I go to bed and the 3 girls are sleeping in the one room and the guys are like in another room, right? It's like the parents didn't want us separated, right? Like that would do anything. You just go outside and bang, but
right.
Anyway, it's fine, right? And I think there was a tent outside, like that they left out in case someone wanted to go sleep outside. So anyway, my best friend Michelle at the time, myself, Michelle, and Kim. So Kim was the girl that liked this guy. And so I fall asleep, right? And I wake up the next day and Michelle's like, oh my God, Kim and Phil went out to the tent last night. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I heard them, they were making out beside me while I was sleeping. So he made out with me earlier and then he was making out with this chick, right? So they went outside to have sex, right? That was like, Michelle's like, I think they went outside to bang because I heard them like say, ask if they had a condom or whatever. I was fucking fuming, Scott. Like, Scott has seen me get mad a handful of times. Now, I'm also, when I tell this story, I was 17 years old and I'm not proud of the action that I did next. It's not a way to handle conflict, but I was young and stupid and I have since apologized to him for this. So I was very, very irate. And I came out and he wouldn't even look me in the eye. Like he wouldn't even look at me because we're all like making breakfast and shit. And my other buddies are there. My big buddy Andrew's there. My buddy Alex is there. And Brian and Phil's not even making eye contact with me. Right. So Phil goes to the washroom and I follow him, which was like in another room. Like you had to walk through one room to get to the other room. Comes out and I'm like, so did you fuck her last night? He wouldn't answer me. Scott, I raised back my hand. I fucking slapped him across the face.
Oh shit.
I have hit 2 people in my life before. I hit another dude once, which I'm not proud of either. And I don't think violence is okay. I don't think female on male violence is okay. I don't think male on female violence is okay. And I'm not proud of what I did. I was young and stupid and angry. And I was so mad I couldn't control myself. And I just chose to do that. And even I've apologized to him since because we're still friends. And he's like, Heather, I deserved it. I'm like, well, not really. Like, you deserve for me to like call you out, but you didn't deserve for me to raise my hand to you. That was not okay.
Right.
But my buddy Andrew came in, saw me slap him, turned around, walked out of the room.
Oh, wow.
Back to this dude from Michigan. So this guy from Michigan, like he had a twin brother. And I'm not going to lie, he was pretty fucking hot. Like he was better looking than Phil. Like he was like, really good looking, like blonde, blue-eyed, built, like, So he comes by later and he's like, hey, I just want to know if Heather wants to go for a bike ride. And Phil's like, Heather's not here. And I hear Phil at the door. I'm like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'd love to go for a bike ride. His name was Mike. I'm like, let's go, Mike. So I ran bike ride with Mike and Phil's like all mad. And anyway, and we went to like this romantic like lookout and we kind of made out a bit, like just kissed and stuff, and then came back and like, oh my God, it was such drama. But anyway, that's a long story to be like I made out with some dude from Michigan back in 17. And I remember thinking Michigan was so far away, right? I was like, wow,
oh yeah,
that's like in another world, right? And I don't even know where in Michigan he lived. Fuck, he could live in your city for all I know.
Right.
He could be from Shorts Creek, Michigan. I have zero memories of where he was from in Michigan. But yeah, isn't that anyway? And we got like hilarious. Really drunk and like would like there's one video of like myself, like there was actually videos of this because I brought a camcorder, like what you do in that age, you camcord everything because there's no YouTube. Right. And there was my buddy Andrew and me and Michelle got really hammered the next time, and we were doing row your boat on land. Like we could barely walk and we're in this canoe that's like on the rocks, like pretending to paddle. It was just fucking hilarious. But yeah, I lost it on this dude. We actually ended up dating. We came back from the cottage and he apologized and we dated for a couple of months. It didn't work out obviously, but yeah, not my proudest moment, not proud of it. I used to be for a long time until I got older and I'm like, that wasn't okay, but man, like I was mad. Yeah. Oh my God, was I mad? Anyway.
And I've seen you like mad before, so I know like I know how angry you can get.
Oh man, and I just felt like I was such a fool, right? Like here I was trying to be considerate of her. Not right. Because I was like, oh, I don't want to give up my special flower. It wasn't anything like that. It was, I didn't want to upset my friend.
Right.
And like they were all making out in the same bed. Like the ballsiness of him, huh? Like he must have felt like a player that weekend, huh?
Yeah, that is some fucking big balls right there. Holy
right? But
shit.
Then she got upset, so we left with nobody.
And that's the shit that happens when you play that type of game.
Right? Like, I think she started hitting on my other buddy that was there, and I was talking to this Mike guy. So he was like, I went from having the options of 2 girls that were interested in me to 0 girls who are interested.
Like, I fucked up big time.
Anyway, that was such a like random story that wasn't part of this at all. But anyway, cabin by the lakes can have a lot of fun. Apparently, cottages have really great memories. And maybe you'll have a little love affair, maybe with a bear or something up at the cottage, or a beaver.
Well, if I see a bear, I'm just going to pretend it's Brandon Orlick.
And you're going to be like, hey there.
Let me rip that hair.
Say to you earlier? You were like a chocolate dipped strawberry?
Something like that. Right?
He really knows how to like send out the charm, right? With me, he's like, I hate you, Heather. You repulse me. If he had heard that story, he'd be like, of course you did that because you're a monster. Like, he would totally make me feel like shit, which is fine because that's my Brandon and that's what he does.
It's like you two are brother and sister. I swear to God.
Brother and sister that is incestuous, like the people under the stairs. That's us.
That's true.
We aim to be that couple. Actually, that's our life goal. I should tell him that later. If he joins, I'm gonna tell him that's what I said. He's gonna fucking love it. Anyway, so I have a little article here about 5 reasons why cottages are sacred places, not because you slap dudes that are making out with your friend instead of you. Cottages are not only a financial investment, which they absolutely are, because as you know, I'm sure when you guys go up there, you got to do prep with opening the cabin and stuff. Oh yeah. Right. They are an investment in our souls. More and more people are renting and buying cottages, so there must be a reason beyond what we initially think. Cottage life is an investment in our health, as well as a great opportunity to spend time with friends and family without the distractions of a daily routine life. Participating in cottage life gives us permission to unplug from the business of our lives and to engage in the splendor and simplicity of the natural world. Do you find this at the cabin? Like, do you guys really disconnect from electronics and stuff when you're there?
For the most part, it just really depends on like what we're doing. Like, if we're just sitting around and just relaxing, obviously, like I'll be messaging you or anybody else, like just because like I'm just sitting there.
Or Brandon.
Or Brandon. But most of the time, like especially in the UP, I don't get a very good signal, so it forces me to kind of disconnect. Like, I'm not on Facebook much. I'm pretty much
Dexy's barking. Dexy's like, stop talking about your trip, Dad. We'll continue. So he's not on Facebook much. He does disconnect, and I think they have a VHS player up at the cottage, or is it a DVD player?
Yeah, it's a DVD player because I can bring my old some of my DVDs up there because I've brought like cabin in the woods style horror films to watch there if we have like shitty weather or whatever. So far, we've been lucky and haven't had like shitty weather the times that I've been there.
And you walk around without a shirt on the entire time, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm pretty much in my bathing suit the entire week, unless we're leaving to go somewhere. But like, yeah, like because we have a sauna that's out separate outside cabin that we go to, and we do a sauna swim. So we sit in there and cook ourselves, and then jump in the water. But yeah, we're at a bonfire most of the time. We even get the next door because it's pretty much like the small little cabin community of people that come there during the summer. Yeah. And there's this couple that always seems to be there when we're there. And they always bring their cute little golden retriever and his father golden retriever. And they always come and visit us and just like chill with us and play fetch with us. But yeah, it's just like very just nature. We like in the UP. Like,
so basically what they're saying here, right, is that it's a reprieve for you guys. You immerse in all the elements of nature, taking the beauty of surroundings, and they're basically sacred blessings experienced when at the cottage that keeps you going back for more.
Yeah.
So this person continues to talk about how her husband's owns a real estate company. So he needs times away. They take 3 hours to drive there, and then they have to unload a boat just to be able to enjoy their getaway. But the journey is well worth it. So same with you. It takes you like what, 6 hours?
7 hours to get out there, and probably about an hour and a half of getting the cabin all set up and ready to go. Because we got to turn the water on, get the boat uncovered, get the sauna ready.
So it's work.
Yeah.
But then once you're there, you can enjoy the fruit of your labors. So here's the top 5 reasons why this person encourages people to attend cottages. So a cottage is a place to recharge and regenerate. I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, take a few deep breaths, and visualize your cottage as a special place that you visit in nature. Almost immediately, your body response to this visualization is to activate the rest and relax part of our nerve system, sending healing hormones through your bloodstream, and this has happened just by visualization. Cottages are places for rest and regeneration, a break from the everyday mundane life. Cottages make the grind of work worth the reward of being able to participate in cottage life. Well, we're going to have a couple of movies that are going to challenge that, but
Right.
ideally, yes, that is exactly what it should be, unless you're in the last house on the left. So cottages are located in beautiful areas, allowing us to engage in the natural world. Studies show that the more time we spend in the natural world, the healthier we become. This is especially true for children. Spending too much time indoors, being inactive, puts us at the risk of health problems and potentially emotional issues. This disconnect becomes even more serious as a generation after generation spends less time outside. Very relevant, right? Like, I think a lot of people get to a cottage and be like, all right, where's the Wi-Fi? Right.
Yeah.
So definitely being able to disconnect, and to a certain extent, obviously, and just enjoy your time is super valuable. Spending quality time with friends and family is lost in the modern society. Many of us say that we want more of this. However, it's likely to occur without the daily distractions of our day-to-day lives at home. Spending time at a cottage removes us from regular duties. Cottages are a place where special memories and family traditions are created. I couldn't agree more.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I remember all my cottage trips with my friends and my parents when I was younger. Like, I could recite all of them. I obviously won't, because it'd be boring as fuck, but it's true. Like, absolutely true.
Yep. And honestly, like, I'd never really experienced the cottage lifestyle till about, a couple years ago when I started going to the UP with my cousin and my friends. And yeah, well, no, that's not true, because there's been a few times with Tim that I went with him and his parents to their cabin that they had out by Lake Manistee. And yeah, so yeah, there's been a few times, but yeah, it is just a nice thing to create wonderful memories.
Right. So spending time at a cottage creates a respect for the environment, that will translate into future generations. Children learn through model behavior. If they see their parents respecting the environment, then they will learn to do this themselves. Bearing witness to the beautiful nature through cottage living creates a respect for nature, and in turn, possibly becoming an advocate for an environment. This I will agree with. I work with a lot of environmental students who all of them say that, like, going up north has really motivated them. That also reflects privilege, but the fact that they have that experience is pretty cool. And finally, cottages are a reflection of who we are and what we value. Our values and priorities are demonstrated by how we live and what we deem important. Owning or renting a cottage gives you a chance to enjoy and respect all the beauty and wonder this magnificent earth has to offer, and an opportunity to look after it. So an opportunity to in turn look after it. Engaging in the natural world demonstrates our ability to unplug, reconnect to nature, family, and friends, discovering that it's the simple things in life that matter, and participating in cottage life allows more time for this to transpire. This is so holistic and kind, and then horror movies take it and smush it.
They so do, just like they always do. Take something beautiful and peaceful and go, what if?
They're like, hold my fucking beer. We're going to show you how shit can go wrong. So why don't we kick it off with this first movie that when you selected, I thought, I just won't watch the last 5 minutes. There you go, Scott. Tell us which one it is.
All right. So the one that I picked was Lake Eden from 2008. It was released in Ireland September 12th, 2008. Jenny, a teacher, and her boyfriend Steve head to a lake to spend a peaceful weekend. However, a group of undisciplined teenagers irk them with their continuous pranks, ruining their weekend. Man, this one was a first-time watch for me last year, and I think also for you last year. But holy shit, is this a mean-spirited film? And goes to show, like, you are in because they are going obviously away for the weekend to a place they're not used to, going to this nice beach and all this. You're obviously going to have like other people showing up to the beach and, possibly being rude and disrespectful. And these are obviously some punk teenagers. Well, you don't know these people and you are in an area that you are unfamiliar with. This movie pretty much states it is better to just keep your mouth shut and walk away instead of trying to confront and fix the issue. Because this backfires on them horribly.
Yes, it does. I think the setup though to the lake piece is really well done. He picks her up. There's that anticipation of driving up to the lake. They stay in a motel the first night. And of course, this is a movie about class system, right? Like this is about elites and the working class in England. Like that's what the bare basis of it is, right? But if we look at the setting, when they go down to the lake, he finds out it's being developed and he's really upset about that. And, these kids run this small little town where the lake is. And I don't know about you, but when I've gone to, cottages, you do have those kids running around on their bikes and they think they own the place because it's a small town and like everything they have is within that town, right?
Yeah.
So there's social norms that are developed within that town and how they interact. And, when this couple gets there and they set up on the beach and literally it's them and these kids and the dog, which I really liked the dog a lot.
Yeah. The beautiful Rottweiler.
Really well behaved too. Really well trained. Really
well
trained dog. These actor doggies are always really well trained actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I agree. I think the main, is understand the caste system too and realize that you're going to, but the idea is that these guys didn't care. They thought, well, you should act like this because we're prim and proper and this is how you should behave. And these other people were like, well, you just came into our turf.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was very much a societal film. But I think the setup of Lake Eden was very nice. I think the lake wasn't anything overly that special. Like, I don't get why he couldn't take her fucking somewhere else. Like, it wasn't like it was the most beautiful lake that you had ever seen in your entire life. No. There was no toilets nearby. They just basically send up a tent on the beach, what looks like the most fucking uncomfortable thing to do. But yeah, like I think the setup of going on this trip was painted well in this film.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and this is like definitely gives the lake feel because, with lakes, especially from Michigan or from Ontario, like a lot of lakes are surrounded by woodland and there is a lot of woods in like, this is very like getting lost in the woods type feel to this film because it's just everywhere and like just very small sandbars for the beach. And yeah, like this definitely has that excitement for getting ready to go away to somewhere a little secluded and just somewhere that you don't go to normally. And obviously there was a romantic connection here because he was going to propose to her there and make it this whole beautiful thing, which, is definitely what a lot of people do. But yeah, unfortunately with the way this plays out, like it's just, once again, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You are basically an outsider to this area, not knowing the social norms, and it's not good. These kids are obviously like the teenagers that we knew growing up, kind of like punk, like anti-authoritarian and pretty much run the town, like you said. And yeah, when things start going wrong, these kids definitely take it up way more than most would. Like they are little freaking psychos. And this is a very hard film to watch.
Absolutely. And I think that, it really does show how they torture them using that wooded area near the water. So we don't get a lot actually at the water. The water scenes are basically pleasant scenes, right? It's, besides the minor conflict that occurs on the beach with the music and the dog and, all that other stuff. Where it really does reflect is when they get into the woods and you almost feel the heat and the humidity.
Yeah.
I almost felt like, I feel sweaty watching this. I almost feel the mosquitoes biting me from watching this. And I thought that was really well done. I thought the chase scenes that they had everywhere from when they confront them and the dog gets killed and things escalate and they get into the car and there's the accident and she goes to get help and she gets covered in mud and dirt and grossness. And they're hiding out in that little like cabin house thing.
Yeah.
And he's slowly fucking dying. And when he went into the water, all I could think of, well, he's dead now because he's going to contact, what is it when you get an infection?
Like, the bacteria and all that getting into
Yes. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's a certain disease you get.
Yeah.
Septic.
Yeah, I was
septic, right?
Septic was what I was thinking too.
Right. So like, I think all of this really does like the worst case scenario of camping. You've gone on this camping trip, you're taking back your love of your life, who you want to be your wife, to where you were a kid and you had all these memories. And then all of a sudden, fucking chaos occurs, and you're basically thrown by these group of kids from Lord of the Flies, that you're gonna die. Like it's pretty intense. Vacation gone wrong for sure.
Yeah, and I was saying the Lord of the Flies. That's kind of a good comparison right there. I didn't think about that.
Right.
But yeah, and then like the ending just hits, and it's just
I don't even want to talk about the
devastating.
ending. The ending doesn't have anything to do with the lake.
No, I was gonna say we'll leave that to like we normally spoil, but we'll leave that because that's just difficult to talk about.
It is difficult to, and yet again, like the biggest point of this movie is society, class systems, and how people view what is right and wrong.
Yeah,
even with the subtleness of disciplines and stuff. But if we look at how they set up going on this camping trip, romantic times and shit going wrong, and this, you feeling the heat, the humidity, you feeling that being dirty and uncomfortable and trying to survive, and her trying to get out of this dark abandoned area. Because when you're up north and you're driving through these dark fucking dirt roads and you can't see where you're going, this movie captured that.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Fucking 110%, where you're like, oh my God, am I gonna make it out alive? Like it totally captured that really, really well.
Yeah, like this one especially captures isolation.
Yes. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Because there's nothing around you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely was a great example of camping cabin in the woods films gone wrong, for sure.
Yeah, and I also gotta say, I gotta give it credit. Like, this isn't technically on the lake, but when they go into the town, it does remind me of like the small lake town community that you would see like in the country, like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The small little diner that they go to get food, the way everything's kind of set up, even where the hotel is, like everything is set up exactly like, and they're making like, even them making fun of the locals and shit, right? Like, yeah, like I remember going to like this place in Tobermory to eat, and we were making fun of how like ancient it was, and like how it was the oldest looking fucking place in the world, but the food was actually really good. But we were being real dicks about the interior and stuff like that, and we referred to people as hicks because they live up in the country. And you gotta think, like, when you come up there as a quote unquote city slicker and you're coming into people's space and you're being a dick like that, yeah, I don't think you deserve to happen to you what happened to these people. But you could see how people might get a little frustrated.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, a little side note for me about the UP. Upers, as they're known, call us that are underneath the Mackinac Bridge trolls. Like, because we are like the ones that just come crawling out of the woodworks during the nice weather to go and invade their isolated, quiet community for vacation time. And they literally call all of us under the bridge trolls.
Well, and that reflects to how sense. They feel, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and even
though you bring a lot of business, right? Like when I go up to my, I've only been up there once, but my friend's cottage that's up in Halliburton, Halliburton does have a college up there. It's a small town, but it's very much a vacation place, right? It has like canoe stuff. It has like, stuff that's geared up for if you're coming up for a vacation, that's what you're doing, right? So, they do make their money off of that kind of thing too, so they can't be too bitchy. But at the same time, when you're a dick and you kind of treat people like they're lesser than you because of where they live, you're going to have some irritations, and you're probably going to run into some conflicts, which I think like Eden does present, right?
Oh,
or
absolutely.
Eden Lake. I read this wrong. I put Lake Eden is Eden Lake. Really
I wonder if I read that. I wonder if I read it.
So it's Eden Lake we're talking about, everyone. We may have said Lake Eden. That's our title for it. It's Eden Lake.
I may have pulled an Anchorman and read exactly what I was seeing on the screen.
That's really funny. Yeah, I typed this wrong. I put Lake Eden. That's really funny. Anyway, no, it's Eden Lake. That, by the way, Eden Lake. It's the movie we were referring to. So I guess we should jump into our next film.
Oh, right.
And I think this title's right, so we should be okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at this one. This one looks good. But the next film we're going to talk about is The Last on the... All right, let me screw it up for what then.
I know, it's because we're on our vacation soon, that's why.
Right. The Last House on the Left, released March 13th, 2009. So yes, we are talking about the remake. A couple show kindness to a group of strangers, unaware that the same men just assaulted their daughter. But when they learn about their true identities, the devastated parents plan revenge. So yeah, this is it's a bit different than the original, because this one they treat the last house on the house itself as a lake house, where before I think it was their like home. So I think this is like their cabin that they go to like during the summers, how they treated this, because it shows the father, mother, and daughter all driving there and taking these back dirt roads with really no road signs and stuff like that, showing how isolated this place is and how the lake crosses over the river, or lake crosses over the road, cutting the road off at one point, and shows just how deep and alone they are in the woods.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like most people know about Last House on the Left, this their daughter and her friend decide to go to a concert, I believe, or at least
I think it's a concert,
and they end up running into one of the guys that basically is trying to offer them to smoke marijuana with them, and they run into a lot of felons.
Oh, do they ever?
And then they are basically held hostage and taken back to the woods where near this house, and pretty much this is where all the horrific stuff happens. Now, this one, it definitely once again focuses a lot more in the wooded area, not much on the lake. Like this one, I think the lake is definitely not like let's go to the lake and sit on the beach. There is no beach that we see. This one shows like it's true nature lake, like no beach bar, no sandbars, no nothing like that. It's a lot of overgrown weeds and stuff like that, but it looks more natural. But yeah, this one, it almost looked like a pond to me because it didn't look like it was that big.
Yeah,
but it was.
I agree. It looks like a smaller lake. I do agree with you about the setup. You put it perfectly. They're driving up. He's falling asleep in the back seat, so you get an indication that it's been a long drive, that they've taken turns driving to get to where the cottage house is. They have a guest house as well as the main house. The daughter is obviously, like, we have the scene of her swimming to establish that she is
a good swimmer,
a strong swimmer, a competitive swimmer, right? That she's able to, that's good setup. Like, I get why they had that in there so they could show the believableness of her being able to do what she does later.
Yeah.
Her going into town seems to take a lot less time, which is fine. Her meeting up with her girlfriend, it's very different from the original Last House on the Left, which was they're going to go to a concert and they were going to go do a whole bunch of other things. This is more like she's there visiting with her girlfriend. They're just chatting. Her girlfriend wants the weed, so she takes her because, you know, there's that throwaway line of, yeah, I know you're training to be like an Olympic athlete or something now.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was saying, it seems like in the original they go to like a big city, where they run into the characters of Kruger and all his people. But in this one, it's more like just a rundown hotel and like just like this little tiny town, like a lake town again.
Yeah, like a very much like what you would find in some like lakeside shitty motel. And, you know, when they torture these girls, they, you know, we'll skip over the hotel scene. Like, we get it. They torture them in the hotel and they kidnap them and all that shit. And when they're driving, and it, you know, it also reflects how disoriented we can get when we're driving out in the cottage area. And she gives them the proper directions. She's like, if this is what you're looking for, then you need to go left. Right. Yeah. You know, and they're like, oh, like, she's one cool cat. Like, she's been really great. And they're basically talking about making her part of the gang, or maybe letting her live, or whatever the case may be, because she's seen their faces now, right? Like, ideally these guys are going to kill her and her friend. And I thought their escape was good. You know, the Jeep kind of runs off the side and then they're in the woods, and that's where the sexual assault happens. There's some, you know, attempts to try to get away. They don't work. And then the final scene of where she does get away, she heads out to the lake. So we get back to the lake scene again, and she's swimming, trying to get away, and he's shooting at her, and then eventually hits her. But I think that whole setup, the lake scene and everything else, the isolation of it, very, very well.
Yep. And I like that the whole thing where it says, you know, the lake goes over the road sign actually comes into play, because that's how they get into the accident, because the guy drives right past that and crashes because of the lake going through the road, and there'd be not a road there anymore.
Yeah.
So I like that they brought that back, and that's how this accident happens, like, and they just lose control of their vehicle, and then they're in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely, right. And when they arrive at the parents' place, and there's that kind of, I think the acting in this is actually really good, to be honest with you.
I'll say they got really great actors for this film.
Like, I believe the awkwardness that's happening between them. The rain, it's raining, it's really shitty out. They talk about not being able to get a cab. He's a doctor, so he's doing some basic medical treatment on them. Like, I honestly thought the interactions between everyone was quite good.
Yeah, because it's basically just like, okay, these strangers who definitely like seem to be like make us uncomfortable are now at our house late at night. We're pretty much stuck with them because we're not going to kick them back out into the middle of this storm in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try to just make some awkward small talk. And like, it definitely puts you in that awkward position of the parents. Like you
Huge
feel
awkward
so
small
awkward.
talk, right? And like how they're trying to prevent Justin from saying anything. And I know this, we're not doing a comparison to the original. We're just looking at this movie because I know there's probably people out there that are like, it's not as good as the original, and that's fine. The reason why we use this film is because it does reflect, going to a lake house and being at a lake. That's why we used it. I think the sleeping out in the guest house is a great, like, they send them out there, the weather's really shitty. Somehow the daughter manages to pull herself up to the house. It makes sense that she would have water in her lungs because the bullet went into her back. And it makes sense that her dad would be able to get it out. Like, I will give this film credit for a lot of the things that it does. You're like, okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And it does set up, like, the closest thing is 6 miles. We don't have a car. How are we going to get out of here? Right? Like, I think it does set up that isolation of being at this lake house. The power is down. The phones aren't working. What the fuck are we going to do?
Yep, we are completely isolated and alone right now, and we have to deal with everything that's going on. And like they even use it to their advantage when they find out what this gang of people did to their daughter.
Right. And I think the kills in this are great. I think the guy coming back in and there's like that awkward sexual tension that the mom's trying to present.
Yeah.
I think the acting between the two of them, actually, some of my favorite scenes, because I think it's actually really well done.
Yep, because like she's like kind of just giving that like subtle hint, like they're like she might be trying to subtly say something else to him, and he's like thinking, "Oh, there's more to this than what she's saying," blah blah blah, and he's like
they're
really
gonna hook
it.
up and shit, right? So I think that's a really well done film. The whole setting is really well done. Like, you really do get the feeling of isolation. The fights that occur between them and all the multiple characters, like when he breaks into the guest house and he attacks her and shoots Krug, and Krug jumps out the window and Krug's fucking around at the top of the lake house, or even back to the comments that they made of how many houses do you guys have, because it's a beautiful lake house cottage thing that they have. And then of course at the end they get away on the boat.
Yep.
And then you get back, right, and then you get that kill scene at the end. I wonder if they added that in the movie, like, the one, the microwave.
Yeah, it felt like it, because that just, there was no reason for that kill. Like, I mean, obviously there's a reason to kill Krug, but the way that it was done just felt so off from everything else. Like, there was no lead up to the whole microwave thing, and the microwave wouldn't work with the door open in the first place. So,
right.
So it just felt just tacked on to show some really awesome gore, head explosion. And I think the effect looks cool. It just doesn't make any sense, and just kind of takes away from the film, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this, the best, honestly, if they had ended just when, like, Justin doesn't die, they leave with him because he tries to intervene, and their daughter, and they take off in the boat because that's what they have to get away in. Like, it made sense to me. That, like, that kind of sums it up as like a cottage lake retreat thing, and it presents it well. Depending how you feel about this movie compared to the original, that's not what we're talking about here. It's just how this movie presented, the cottage lake cabin life, and I think it did a good job.
Yep, because it does the isolation, it does the small little lake town really well. Again, once again, like, lots of the wooded area, they focus a lot on being lost in the woods and, like, how isolated you truly are, which is, what it feels like to be on these types of cabins in the woods type stories.
Absolutely. So why don't we get into our next one?
All right. So the next one is a Finnish film called Lake Bodom from August 16th, 2016. 4 friends are spending the night at Lake Bodom, where unsolved murders took place many years ago. The young men are determined to venture into the dense forest to solve the mystery. And now this is one that we both watched last year, and I did not expect this film to go the way it did. It had a very awesome twist to it, but I really do love the idea of young kids going, all right, so there's been talks of murders happening out here. We're going to be the ones to try to figure this out. Like, it's total like dumb teenager thing, like to try to do this. And
Yeah.
like the two girls end up wanting to come along with them. And like this one, there is no cabin. This one is a tent out in the woods right next to the lake. And this is a huge, beautiful lake.
Yeah.
Like has a huge giant cliffside, and the water looks all just beautiful and clear. And it takes place at night, so you don't get to see a lot of the beauty during the sun. But yeah, like they even shows them like, you know, washing in the lake, and, you know, just using the, like, if you're trying to live out in nature, what you would do.
I do think it's funny that the girls had like these huge big suitcases that the guys carry down for them to the tent, right? I do think that's really funny. It did set up like a bunch of teenagers heading out to figure out this mystery. It's actually a really like wide spaced area that they film in. There's not a lot of trees in that specific area. So you see the tent, it's kind of like up on some rocks. It's cold enough that they're breathing and you can see their breath. Which I think it's interesting that they even went in the water anyway. Those poor actors and actresses, it must have been cold as hell when they went in.
Right.
And I do think the whole buildup of the mystery of the lake is presented well. The reason why they go, this girl really likes this guy, but there's been a belief that he sent these new, like, claimed that there was nude pictures of her.
Yeah,
that was sent
spread
around
the rumor.
school, right? And the really nerdy, geeky guy that's there and trying to figure out what's going on, the creepiness of trying to scare your friends in the tent. I think that's really well done.
Yep.
You know, that happens like when you go away with friends and trying to creep them out and stuff, and then having to use the washroom in the middle of the woods. And of course, when the twist happens, and spoiler, the girls murder the boys, well, the one boy, and they get rid of the body. Even then, it's a beautiful setting of like, you know, they've really thought through, which explains their big suitcases.
Yes, because they have like these giant freaking hazmat suits that they use to keep themselves from, I don't know what they use them for, honestly, because they were already covered in blood.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what the point of those suits were supposed to be, but like, you know, they had this all planned out ahead of time where they like put them in these like body bags and tied rocks to the body bags so they could throw them over. And obviously this freaking lake is really deep where they were, because they threw the bodies over and the bodies go way down.
Yeah.
But they end up making the mistake of forgetting the car keys, which they were going to use to get rid of the vehicle as well, just so there was no evidence of them being out there. And they have to go and get the keys out of the body bag. And I can't remember, but they didn't actually get rid of the vehicle like they were supposed to either.
They did, because they crashed because they were fighting, because she finds out that her friend made up the rumor and that nothing actually happened because her friend was in love with her.
I was thinking they were going to drive their plan was to drive the vehicle into the lake is what I was thinking.
I thought they were going to get rid of the car eventually too, but they don't get a chance to.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then they get stranded, and then that other dude comes, takes them back, like real killer, takes them back to the area and then stages the murder. And I think that setup is just super, super well done.
Yeah, because there was like twist upon twist in this that like worked so well. Like, and once again, no one around. This is deep in the woods.
Perfect isolation, camping, cabin horror, absolutely, for sure.
Yep. This one really focused a lot more on the lake too.
Yes, like the whole thing's basically at the lake, right? You have a couple of to it, but the majority of it is at the actual lake for sure. Really, really solid film. I think it's a great example of isolation horror.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And like, there's no one around. And yeah, this shit could easily happen. Like, it's believable.
Yep, absolutely.
So the final film of our topic today will be What Keeps You Alive, which was released on March 10th, 2018. A Canadian psychological horror film. Canadian, Sander.
Right.
Written
Sander.
and directed by Colin Minahan. It stars Hannah Emily Anderson and Brittany Allen, and follows a young woman fighting for her life as her wife's murderous intentions become evident. Now, this film really focuses on that whole lakeside community, because this one has like the really nice lake houses wrapped around the entire lake.
It's Muskoka. That's Muskoka. Like, that's legit a community in Northern Ontario.
Okay, because this one actually reminded me a lot of like where I go in the UP. Like the lake that we're on, you look across the lake and you just see all these beautiful lake houses with docks leading into the same lake. And like obviously still isolated and far enough away from each other, but yeah, that's what this movie felt like to me.
Yeah.
And this is one that they are, I guess this would be considered their honeymoon. They're going to the wife's
It's
lake
their 1 year
house.
anniversary.
Oh, 1 year anniversary. Okay. But yeah, they go to the wife's family lake house that she hadn't been to in, at least she said hadn't been to in a long time. And once again, this is probably my favorite of the four that we did, just because this has the whole relationship horror aspect, really focuses a lot on it. Like, you don't know who you have married type situation.
Yep, absolutely.
But you know, that's a different topic with the whole relationship thing, but I still I said to bring it up. But yeah, this one has that, once again, isolated, but yet also not completely far away from other people. Like, so there is like that chance of, if you can get to somebody, you're safe, but the lake is very fucking huge. And looks like, what did she say, like, is 350 feet deep or 350 meters deep or something like that, the deepest point in the lake. So
it definitely showcases going out to Muskoka, going to a very well established lake house, and the kind of romanticized version of it, and then the neighborhoodly of like, oh, I haven't seen anyone at this lake house for years, and that her former friend coming over to see who's there. Right. So that's very much like, I'm sure that happens in the UP too, right? These northern communities, they kind of look out for each other because you're not at that property all the time. So you do expect other people in that neighborhood to watch out for your property because, you know, who knows who could be coming or going, and you don't want stuff to happen to your property. So I think that paints a picture very well to what the community is like. I think the hiking is very like beautiful. I think the running that she does like kind of shows the Muskoka landscape, really gives the impression of isolation because you just see nothing but trees. And then when the betrayal happens, you know, the wife finds out that the person that she's married had this friend that the other girls suspect had something to do with her drowning. And she never mentioned this death of this friend to her or anything like that. And she kind of tells this really weird story about her finding a black bear or something like that in the woods. And then she pushes her off the cliff. And, you know, that scene right there is shocking because you know something's probably going to happen. Like, you get an idea that stuff is not right here. And then she pushes her. And then the whole kind of cat and mouse game that they play for the rest of this movie that is filmed on land and then on water at a certain point. And then when the couple that they kind of loosely have met now engages with them is so well done.
Oh, it so is. And I wanted to bring up, when you're talking about that story of like her friend that died or whatever, it also kind of represents like childhood at this lake. Oh yeah, me and my friends, we were just trying to swim across the lake, see if we could actually do it type stuff. That is totally like stuff that you would do as a kid, like if you were good swimmers. And it just kind of brings that whole lakeside community again, like being the kid at those types of like houses. And yeah, like you have like it even shows like you have the different boats, you got a rowboat, you got a couple different rowboats over here, like you have all these, and that's how these people would, like, besides, you know, driving a long distance around, you could go visit your friends on the lakeside by just taking the boat out to the lake and going to their dock. It just has that total lakeside community feel to it, and I love that about this film. Like,
yep, I couldn't agree more. I love when they're out in the water and they're having that conflict, and the husband starts talking to them from his dock, right?
Yeah.
And that awkward interaction, and they have dinner later that evening, and the woman, the wife that's in danger, the partner, I guess, alerts her to what I think is Sarah's intentions are. And she slices this husband's throat. She comes back in, she kills the husband's wife. And then now it's just back to those two again.
Yeah.
And her being like, I've done this before. I killed my first wife. I went and cried at her funeral. I grieved with her family, but I felt nothing. Like, she's a sociopath, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And the thing about, I don't know if sociopaths like sit there and tell you that they're a sociopath. Like, I think that involves some level of emotional intelligence if you know you're a sociopath. But, you know, I can forgive it for the sake of the movie. It's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, this one does have the whole, like you were saying, the cat and mouse in this one with because obviously Sarah knows these woods like the back of her hand because she grew up in this property, so she knows like all the ins and outs. And I'm not sure, can't remember the other character's name, but like, yeah, she's helplessly lost and horribly injured from her fall, and is completely disoriented. Yeah.
and dehydrated, and then she tries to feed her in the morning, so because she needs her alive for the health insurance
For the
policy
autopsy, and yeah.
Oh my god, it's really it's really dark. It's actually a really dark isolation. Of course you go away with your partner and you don't worry about anything, so your guard's down, you're all the way at this beautiful cabin or lake house on this lake, and you're isolated, and then you have the two people that could have helped you are gone now, and you're just trying to survive it. And it really what keeps you alive is actually a perfect title for this film. And I know I mentioned it on my top 5 Canadian films. I think this film is awesome at building suspense. I think it uses Muskoka beautifully. I think it reflects going to away with someone who you trust to make those memories that we talked about in that article, and then making a whole bunch of different memories that maybe aren't so good.
Right. Yeah, this one is just once again another downer ending to this film, but it's the ending that I don't mind, because of the way the revenge happens as well. Right. But it even ties back to the whole bear in the woods dying, the way Sarah is handling everything by the end. And but yeah, once again, just I would love to go visit this place. That's how much I love the setup and the scenery of this. This place was beautiful.
Muskoka is beautiful. It's very similar to the UP, right? I think they capture the whole, making memories thing well in this one. I think this one, Lake Bodom's more of group of kids getting together and having a good time. Woo! And then drama happens. You have the romanticness of, Eden Lake, or Lake Eden, as Scott and I have renamed it. Of Eden Lake as, where they're out, on a romantic venture. And then you have the last house on the left where it's just a family's cottage that they go to. I think we've managed to take films that highlight, different atmospheres that you would engage in these lake house adventures, and all of them do reflect that experience really well. So if you're looking for a horror movie to creep you out before you go out to a cabin, these are some great examples.
Yeah, I would probably take all 4 of these films with me if I went to the UP, if I had them on DVD. Though I think everybody there would probably be like, why the fuck did you bring these, you jerk?
Do any of them like horror?
Pretty much only my cousin's wife, Christy.
Yeah, that would be awkward then. Right? They'd be like, what the fuck? Well, though, what keeps you alive isn't as much, it's horror, but it's also more of a mystery and thriller too. You could probably label that thriller and get away with it. I don't know if you could with the other 3, but definitely with what keeps you alive, you could probably call that a thriller and people would watch it.
Yeah, that one would definitely fit that category a lot more.
Right. So yeah, great selection. Scott chose these, I believe. I don't think I chose these. Did I?
You chose Last House on the Left remake and What Keeps You Alive. I did Lake Bodom and Eden Lake.
Or Lake Eden.
Yeah, Lake Eden.
As its alternative title.
Yes.
That we made up today. Great choices, Scotty. It's good to send you off or your trip.
Yeah, I'll say once again, because I think we did the whole cabin in the woods campground episode right before I went on my trip too, so it's kind of fitting that we did this again.
We just keep the good times rolling here. That's all we do here, Friday Nightmares. Speaking of the good times rolling, we're going to jump into our Out of the Dark segment, and this is where we stole something from Exploding Heads. Exploding Heads on Patreon. So Scott and I are loyal Patreon fans of Exploding Heads. So loyal, we have their faces tattooed on us.
On my bum.
You better believe it. So they had a debate about trailers, and not really a debate, but a conversation about how some people choose to watch trailers, some people choose not to watch trailers, and some people are very adamant about what their choices are when it comes to trailers, whether to watch them or not. So I thought Scott and I could have a conversation on our personal views of trailers and how we use trailers, and if we think there's any issues with spoilers and stuff like that people should be conscious of online.
Yeah. I guess I can kind of go first. But yeah, pretty much I have always been the type that will watch trailers. I love trailers. It's when I go to the theater, it's one of my favorite things to see is the trailers before the movie. I just love that shit. Yes, a lot of these, especially the big budget movies, spoil the fuck out of the film a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get clever ones like Hereditary that made you think it was a completely different movie than it was. But I'm the type that even if something gets spoiled, I'm already planning on going to see the film and I don't care. Spoilers don't bother me. Like,
Yeah.
unless there's like some major twist at the end that might like kind of change the way I view a film. But most of the time, like, yeah, spoilers, I don't mind them. I watch trailers because I want to see what's coming out. And if I just went by, say, the title of a movie, it would always be just, oh, a new Candyman. Okay, I'm going to go watch that. Oh, Halloween. Okay, I'm going to go watch that. It'd be just the same old movies. But however, we are blessed to have our good friend's Plex account, and there is a ton of 2021 movies on there.
Mhm.
And what I tend to do is when they upload a bunch of new films, I will go to YouTube and watch the trailers to decide if these films will be worth my time to watch or not. Like, because if the trailer does not sell me for some of these films I've never even heard of, I won't watch it. Or if there's one trailer that or there's one movie I see and I see the cover and I'm going, oh, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to check out the trailer just to make sure this cover is not lying, because sometimes covers are a bit deceitful. So yeah, I use trailers as a way.
He's like, Scott, that's why I have my cover test, and I'm telling you right now, if you just followed my cover test.
Well, Davesy, I'm terrible at guessing covers because there's some amazing covers out there or at least covers I think that are amazing, and then they disappoint.
Topic for 151, Davesy's cover test. You're
Yes.
welcome, exploding heads.
You're welcome. But yeah, I use this kind of like my way to research if for the newer films, if a film is going to be worth me checking out, especially now that I do not have the ability to watch movies as often as I'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
My time is a little more limited, so I got to make sure what the trailer showing me is something that would be worth me to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I personally like. Here's the thing: Halloween Kills, and I'm going to say something that's going to maybe upset Halloween fanboys. All Halloween movies are basically the same except for Season of the Witch.
Yep.
Like the format is relatively the same. Michael Myers is going to kill a lot of people. It's how he's going to do it, and when he's going to do it, but he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And probably won't die, or you'll think he died, but he didn't die. We know this now. Yeah. I don't need to watch Halloween Kills because I know I'll go watch Halloween Kills. I didn't need to watch Halloween 2018 because I knew I was going to go watch Halloween 2018.
Yep, because you already knew what you were going to get into because it's something
right.
familiar.
I'm not going to walk into Halloween 2018 and be like, oh my God, this is such a different concept. Michael Myers is now like Freddy and is a smart ass talking killer. Like,
Right.
you know, like, and for me, if someone watches the trailer and they're like, oh man, this such thing happened and this such thing happens in the trailer, I'd be like, okay, not surprised.
Yeah.
You know, and we know that there's another one after Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
So we know there's going to be a cliffhanger at the end of Halloween Kills that's going to set us up for a year that we need to wait for whatever the next one is. What's the next one called?
Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends. Right. Sure it will. So sorry.
So true.
Which is fine. You know what? Make 18 fucking billion Halloween films for all I care. Do whatever you got to do, right? But like, if I'm going to go see, I liked the first Escape Room. Yeah. I don't need to watch the Escape Room 2 trailer. I know I'm going to go see it. Maybe I will watch it. And here's the thing: if I think it's being too spoilerly, I can either change the channel. I can hit pause on YouTube. There's lots of things I can do to make sure I don't see any more of it that's going to spoil it for me. And I do the same thing with Plex. I may watch a trailer for a film, and I usually watch it for any new releases on a specific Plex account that we follow, because this individual has access to a lot of films. And, you know, if I see on there that there's a whole bunch of trailers, I start watching a trailer, I can decide within 5 seconds whether I want to keep watching that trailer or not.
Yeah.
All right, I can look at the quality. I can figure out what's going on here. If it looks like it was filmed on a handy cam and it's not found footage, I'm like not interested.
Right.
Right. And then here's another thing. If I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is really good. You know what I do? Shut off the trailer, because I've decided I'm going to go watch it anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I'll say like that's me. I can't help myself. I'll still watch the full trailer. Like, but that's just me because I'm just like, oh, this looks good, but I want to continue watching.
And that's fine. Like, the point of trailers is to make you enticed.
Yes.
So there's certain movies that we all know that we're probably going to go see because we're fans of that series, or it's, you know, a remake of a specific horror film. I think, though, the moment you decide to have a social media account you expose yourself to a variety of things. You expose yourself to opinions that may be different than yours. You expose yourself to people that may not like you or people that may not think like you. And that also includes spoiling of trailers.
Yep, because some people are dicks. Not even just for spoiling the trailers, but there have been, this was a really big issue with a lot of people that were Game of Thrones fans that did not watch the episode like immediately as it aired. And you would see memes made of like, oh, check out these things having nothing to do with Game of Thrones. And then the last thing would be like, oh, so-and-so died. Ha ha ha, mate. Just spoiled the episode for you. Just because there's people that are dicks out there that want to just ruin it for other people. And yeah, like you got to know, if especially for something big like Game of Thrones, if the episode just aired, you will need to stay off social media because it will get spoiled because people are not considerate of that and they want to talk about it.
Right? Like if I want to know the results of a sports game and I had to go to bed, let's say, or I missed it, I'm not going to open Instagram.
Yeah.
Because if I, let's say, follow the Raptors, I'm going to see what's there. Now, some people out there are like, well, that's not fair. Well, that's the way life is. So if you are choosing to not watch trailers and you get mad when other people spoil shit for you and you're on social media, I understand your frustration and I agree with you. But welcome to the world of the World Wide Web. And it's the price of admission.
Yep. Because I mean, unfortunately, like trailers are trailers for a reason. It's to get people talking about the film.
Right. And honestly, if I don't want to know about something, then I don't go on that. Now, I know with something like Halloween Kills, you know, the movie isn't coming out till October.
Yeah.
So the trailer drops now. People are going to stop talking about it in 2 to 3 fucking days. Okay. Like once everyone blows up, oh my God, can't wait for the Halloween Kills trailer. Oh my God, did you see this fill-in Easter egg here? Oh my God, I can't believe they're bringing back this for the Halloween Kills trailer. Like eventually that's going to fade after a couple of days. So either you kind of suck it up because, you know, I'll be honest, I'm friends with people on Facebook that share shit that I don't even like. I find that straight out, I find offensive sometimes. You know what I do? I scroll on. I don't bring it up to them. I just go, oh, well, and I just move past it.
Yep.
Because I'm choosing to not let that affect my relationship with them. And I go, oh, if I don't like it, I can just move along.
Yep. And I was saying, like, for me, if there's something that, like, someone, like, I'm friends with somebody, but they keep posting stuff that pisses me off, I'll just unfollow them. I won't unfriend them. I'll just unfollow them so I don't have to see their stuff.
Well, and if you do unfriend them, you unfriend them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's your decision, too. You're allowed to do that, right?
And I think there's ways to kind of, like, unfollow groups for a while. So, like, yeah, if there's, like, a big Halloween trailer spoiler, you should be able to just unfollow the groups for a couple of days. Or
just don't go to your Facebook app for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Use Messenger, right? Because really, what does Facebook do besides provide information socially? Like if I want to know, for example, I wanted to go to a restaurant tonight. It's raining here. So I go to their Facebook page to see if they're open because that's more likely to be updated. I can still go to the search bar. I can just open up Facebook. You know, I can see whatever is last there. I don't, you know, in this case, it's Android virus and his naming of postings. And I can click on the magnifying glass and I can go Thirsty Cactus because that's the name of the bar I like. And I just look to see.
Yeah.
You know, like you can do that still. And I understand that it's really shitty that people go out and spoil stuff. I get that. That's annoying. That sucks. But you know what? It's the fucking cost of having the internet.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you know that people are going to do this. So make the choice to limit yourself to that exposure. And so what if you find out about one little Easter egg? Honestly, like, is there any horror movie that's really out there besides a handful that are really that different? Like, really?
Right. Well, and honestly,
that you're concerned about seeing. Like, there's a lot of independent films that are different, but the mainstream shit that's released in movie theaters, besides Heredity, Midsommar, and a couple others.
Yeah, they're all the same. And like and the thing I always gotta say too is a trailer will not spoil an entire movie because a trailer is only 2 to 3 minutes long. The movie is an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So you may have some things spoiled, but there will still be a lot that is left to see in the film that you will not know about, and it is also the journey. At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think where someone might argue back is like, look at the Pet Sematary remake trailer.
Yes, that one. Right. That one is a big. That one is a big contributor to why a lot of people do not watch trailers now. Right. And because I probably would have had a different opinion because that would have caught me by surprise.
Yeah, and I did watch the trailer. I was
same.
like, oh no, now I know that I can't want to watch the movie. But that's me, right? Like, yet again, if someone else watched that, I'm like, man, I'm pissed off. I would have rather walked in, not known anything, and enjoyed it a lot more. I can empathize. So those are the people that don't watch trailers at all, and I think that's fine. But you also know that if you choose to do that, then you are going to have to put up with a lot of other people, doing
don't
those
think
things.
like that.
There's certain things that I think, and there's certain values that I have that are not shared by majority of the people I know. If I was to all of a sudden stop looking at other people's Facebook feeds, which yet again, my choice, I could do that. I could, if I only wanted to see stuff that, I wanted to see, there's a lot of people I could unfollow. There's a lot of other things that I could do. I choose not to because I just choose to roll through and go like, well, I don't agree with that, but you know what? It's not worth fighting over. The only time I will get into it is if I post something on my wall and someone decides to be a fucking dick.
Yes.
And tries to be funny or offensive. And I don't like it. And I'll message them privately and I'll say, please don't do that. I don't do that to you. And there's stuff you posted I don't like. I expect respect given back. And never have I had someone get mad about that. They're like, no problem, Heather. Like, I was just trying to be funny. Because I approach it in a way that's private. And I'll say, please don't do this. This is why. And they're fine with it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is just the cost of being on the internet. Like,
it is.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's unfortunate that people are dicks and do spoil shit. Like, I think that's too bad. I think it's sad when anybody does that. But also if, like, let's say the trailer drops and you choose not to watch it and everyone else did, or, the Raptors game is played and I choose not to watch it and everyone else did. Well, what am I supposed to do? Expect everyone to stop talking about it?
Right.
Can't do that either, right? Like, it's a real tough situation to be in.
Yeah, because if you make that choice, then unfortunately that choice is all on you, and you got to do what's in your power to avoid it if you want to stay free of it. It's not up to everybody else to stay quiet if they watched it. Like, granted, like I say, like, big things like the TV shows like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. It's like, it's respectful not to spoil things.
But is it? If I watched it and you didn't, how's that my problem?
Right. I was gonna say, like, but
right.
that's also like the mentality of the internet. Like,
right.
Some people will be respectful and be like, all right, I'll leave this as spoiler free. We can talk about it in a chat or something like that.
Yeah.
And others will be like, no, I'm going to talk about it because I just seen it and I'm really excited and want to talk about it. Like,
right.
It's a double-edged sword.
It really is. So all you can do is really guide yourself. And we're not absolutely gearing this towards anybody, just so we're clear. No. It was a good conversation because Dave Z doesn't watch trailers. And I think that's fine. Venom doesn't watch trailers. There's a couple other people we know, and I guess JP from 22 Shots.
Yeah, but I think Lacey also doesn't watch trailers as well.
Lacey doesn't watch trailers. So there's lots of people out there that choose not to watch trailers. And that's absolutely fine. I just, and I'm not referring to them when I talk about this, but then of course there's also people that will be in horror groups and they get really upset, as Rebecca was talking about on this Exploding Heads episode. So Exploding Heads on Patreon for $3 a month. And, I will always go back to my original argument here that whether you're pro-trailer, anti-trailer, you don't care. The moment you sign up for the internet, you sign up to tolerate other people's opinions. So you gotta either unfollow people, don't go to specific groups, maybe don't be a dick and spoil shit. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable saying that because I don't think it's up to me to say what people can or cannot talk about online.
Right.
Right.
Like I say, when you make the choice about doing something, it is up to you to do what you have to do to avoid it if you want to avoid it.
Right. Like, I see shit online that I don't like every day.
Yeah.
Every day. From good friends of mine, post shit that I'm like, oh my God, I fucking hate that. But like, you know what I do? Keep it to myself. Why?
Yep.
It's not worth it. And I forget about it. I scroll past, I move on. Right.
Yep.
So like
and 90% of the time too, when going back to just like watching trailers, and if a trailer does spoil something, 90% of the time, I end up forgetting about it by the time I actually get to see the movie.
Right.
And it's all new to me again.
So now we're gonna spoil the Halloween Kills trailer. I actually haven't seen it, so I have no idea.
I was gonna say the one that Heather has not seen.
Yeah, no idea. Though I've guessed what happens in the movie, and I bet I'm gonna be right.
Yeah, I'll say like in our private chat. Yeah.
With Brandon Orlick and Scott, how I think this movie's gonna go down. And we'll see if I'm correct in October. And I'll disclose to them what I thought was going to happen. And Scott can be my witness. But yeah, I'll watch it either way. It's same with Candyman. Like, I saw a trailer for Candyman forever ago. And besides it being like an all black cast, I don't remember what happens, except for the song.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like how I was
Right.
until I watched the most recent trailer, but that's just because I was so excited. I'm like, "Ooh, new trailer! I gotta see it."
Which is yet again fine, right?
Yep.
But anyway, the trailer debate will live on, and there will constantly be people that have different opinions on it. Whatever your opinion is, rock on, man. Just I would say don't sweat the small stuff. Maybe try to do your best to avoid social media that day because people aren't going to change in the masses. I've had to learn that struggle personally myself. Is that there's some shit that I see that I'm like, which I think is more important than like trailer debates. But
right,
other people would be like, Heather, why do you care about that? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, so we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll do like one of us could watch a trailer and one of us, what we should do with Halloween Kills? You've seen trailers, right?
Yeah.
I will not watch a single trailer. And then we can both watch the movie and see if it like who enjoyed it more.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Right? So I swear on Friday Nightmares that I will not watch a trailer for Halloween Kills.
Yep. And
I will go in completely as blind as I can. I won't read any articles. I'll do my best to I know a couple of things, but to me, they're not impactful enough that it means anything.
Right.
Like about specific props and stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that means nothing. So,
right.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep, and I was saying, to me, I will promise that I will watch any trailer they release up until the movie comes out, just so we can have the complete opposite
experience to see what happens.
Yeah.
And to see if it affects our personal enjoyment. It's obviously a very qualitative study, but that's okay. We can see how it goes.
It'll be interesting. Then we can come back and talk about it after a little bit.
Right. So that's it. That's all she wrote for now.
This is the time where we say adieu, we will, because we will be back, but it'll be a little while. We do have one more Patreon episode that'll be coming out first Patreon, and then it'll be released to everybody else right before I go on my vacation. Also, because I didn't get a chance to announce it on the latest episode of Controllers Up, Cards Down, but there will be a little hiatus with that as well until I get back. So we may just have a later August episode.
But we'll eventually be back.
Yeah, I'll say just a tiny little break.
Yeah.
I'll say it's basically to give Heather a break from me because I just drive her up the wall all the time.
No. You have the hot babe you talk to online all the time. So she gets way more of your attention now. So it's perfect.
You're like, oh, thank God.
Well, no, I would say that
I know.
You are so full of love that it is important to spread the love.
That's a good way of putting it.
When you have one little Care Bear and that one little Care Bear is just, shooting its rainbow beam on one person, it can be exhausting for that one person with the rainbow beam. But when that little Care Bear is able to share its rainbow beam with multiple people, it's much more palatable.
Good way of putting it.
Right?
Love it.
I will miss recording. I always enjoy this. This is such a fun time for Scotty and I. But at the same time, I think it's really important that he has the rest and relaxation that he requires and needs. And I look forward to having a rest and relaxation. Even though I am not going anywhere, I will be going to Wet and Wild, which is Girls Got Wild. Woo! Find me on my OnlyFans, which is a water park that I will be going to in Toronto with my friends' kids. And there's this water slide there that's called Oh Canada. So annoying. But anyway, you go into it and it's like a little capsule and you stand there and then the floor drops out from underneath you.
Oh, shit.
And then you just fall and you do a free fall and then you start going through the slide. And
oh, wow.
I can't wait.
That would be fun.
Wait. Yeah, I have to wear my sporty bathing suit that day. No sexy bikinis because
that might come off.
Losing my fucking top. And
I was going to say that may come off.
Then it will be like Girls Gone Wild.
Right? Or it'll be like Piranha 3 Double D.
Well, no. Okay. Let's not present more than what's there. All right. Let's not get too not the case. But yeah, and then I'll be going to some drag shows and partying up there. I think we have another beach trip planned. And I'll be drinking, of course.
No.
I know.
Never.
I know. It's shocking.
And I think by the time we get back for our next episode, our intro is probably going to be like an hour long because we're just going to talk about all the crazy shit we did while we were on our break.
Well, the crazy shit you did. Who knows with your Hills Have Eyes people and your wrong turn people that you're going to see up in the TV,
and that's true. And then also, if I even come back, because me, I
don't say that.
I may find an abandoned mine, and then
What about your hot babe?
Oh, I'll let her know where I'm at, but I may,
Okay.
but I might stay with the Wrong Turn family. Like I may like it up there so much.
They may also have abnormally large heads.
Yeah.
Let me know. Maybe I'll join you guys.
All right.
Anyway, until next time, what do you have to say to the people, Scotty?
Oh, until next time, everyone, enjoy their summer. Go to the cabin. Avoid talking to strangers and just relax and unpleasant dreams.
See ya.